shout your name. Leolam Baye, Yahusha, we proudly shout your name. Yahusha, you are my rock. Yahusha, you are my strength. From the rising of the sun to the going down of the same, Yahuwah's name shall be praised. Yahuwah's name shall be praised. Of the sun to the going down of the same, Yahuwah's name shall be praised. Leolam Ba, Yahuwah's name shall be praised.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Glad you all can be here. So we got our Torah portions today. So we're going to go over Genesis chapters 18 to 22 and Jubilees chapters 16 through 19. And it's pretty exciting because we're finally going to cover Abraham and Isaac. And which day of the month that occurred on. And it's really profound, and it's amazing. But yeah, Shabbat Shalom to all. Welcome, welcome. Good to see everybody here. So before we begin, let me go ahead and say a prayer for us, and we'll get right into it. Father, Abba, Yahuah, we come to you in prayer to ask for your guidance and your blessings and protection as we read and we study through your word. Help us to renew our hearts and our minds to better follow you and your ways, and help us refine ourselves to fit according to what your word says, Father. None of us are perfect, and we all need your help and your guidance. And I also wanted to say a prayer for those who are struggling through sickness, trials, tribulations, whatever it may be. We all need your help and that endurance, that strength we need to go and stand until the end. And I pray to you in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, and let it be so. So yes, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Let's see. Let me share my screen here. And because Yah's scripture site, they are adding like the voice readings and things like that. So their site's been down for quite a few days. It was up this morning, but unfortunately, it went down again just before we started here. So I'm going to be reading from the ISR. which is similar to Yah's scriptures, but it's different in some places, some areas, and some words. But here's the link to it if you would like to read along online or through your own copies as well. But yeah, let's begin here. I'm actually excited to get into Abraham and Isaac here. It's very, very important. All right, so Genesis chapter 18. And from the scriptures, 1998 edition here. And Yahuah appeared to him by the terebinth trees of Mamre, while he was sitting in the tent door in the heat of the day. So he lifted his eyes and looked, and saw 3 men standing opposite of him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them, and bowed himself to the ground, and said, Yahuah, if I have now found favor in your eyes, please do not pass your servant by. Please let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And let me bring a piece of bread, and refresh your hearts, and then go on. For this is why you have come to your servant. And they said, do as you have said. So Abraham ran into the tent to Sarah, and said, hurry, make ready 3 measures of fine flour, knead it, and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd, and took a tender and good calf, and gave it to a young man, and he hurried to prepare it. And he took curds and milk and the calf which he had prepared, and placed it before them, and he stood by them under the tree as they ate. And they said to him, where is Sarah, your wife? And he said, see, in the tent. And he said, I shall certainly return you according to the time of life. And see, Sarah, your wife, is to have a son. And Sarah was listening in the tent door, which was behind him. And now Abraham and Sarah were old, well advanced in age. And Sarah was past the way of women. And Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I have grown old, shall I have pleasure, my master being old too? And Yahuah said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I truly have a child since I am old? Is any matter too hard for Yahuah? At the appointed time I am going to return to you, according to the time of life. And Sarah is to have a son. But Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. And he said, no, but you did laugh. And the men rose up from there, and looked towards Sodom. And Abraham went with them to send them away. And Yahuah said, shall I hide from Abraham what I am doing? Since Abraham is certainly going to become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, Baruch, in him. For I have known him, so that he commands his children and his household after him, to guard the way of Yahuah, to do righteousness and right ruling, so that Yahuah brings to Abraham what he has spoken to him. So really quick here, we see even Abraham was to guard the commands and the right rulings. This is well before Mount Sinai. So we see, the Torah has always been. When they were in Egypt and Mitzrayim for 400 plus years, they lost following the way. So it had to be spoken to them again as a reminder, not that it was something new. But I digress. Let me continue. And Yahuah said, because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very heavy, I am going down now to see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry against it that has come to me. And if not, I know. So the men turned away from there and went towards Sodom. But Yahuah stood still before Abraham. And Abraham drew near and said, would you also destroy the righteous with the wrong? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Would you also destroy the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous that were in it? And far be it from you to act in this way, to slay the righteous with the wrong, so that the righteous should be as the wrong. Far it be from you. Does the judge of all the earth not do right? And Yahuah said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I shall spare all the place for their sakes. And the interesting the interesting thing here is, Yahuah knows there isn't even this many people who are Kodesh in the city. So it's funny that Abraham questions it, but he already knows. But he's letting it happen. And Abraham answered and said, look, please, who am I but dust and ashes, to have taken it upon myself to speak to Yahuah? Suppose there are 5 less than 50 righteous. Would you destroy all the city for the lack of 5? And he said, if I find there are 45, I do not destroy it. And he spoke to him yet again and said, suppose there are found 40. And he said, I would not do it for the sake of 40. And he said, let not Yahuah be displeased, and let me speak. Suppose there are found 30. And he said, I would not do it if I find 30 there. And he said, look, please, I have taken it upon myself to speak to Yahuah. Suppose there are found 20. And he said, I would not destroy it for the sake of 20. And he said, let not Yahuah be displeased, and let me speak only this time. Suppose there are found 10. And he said, I would not destroy it for the sake of 10. Then Yahuah went away as soon as he had ended speaking to Abraham. And Abraham returned to his place. So for the sake of 10 people, the whole Sodom and Gomorrah would have been spared, but there wasn't even that there. What's going on here? So my computer is not moving here to the next screen. 1 second. There we go. All right. So Sumi or Brandon, would you like to read next? And if anybody has anything that sticks out to them, or they have something to add, or whatever it is, feel free to jump on in, or even put it in the comments.
Okay, give us a second because it's not letting me. Hold on, I gotta pull it back up.
There it goes.
What are you at, 19?
Yeah.
Open it in its own tab. Somehow. There you go. Now you can still use the card right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's
we got
awesome.
it. Sorry, technical difficulties.
No worries. It's all good.
All right, we ready? Chapter 19 of Genesis. And the 2 messengers came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. And when Lot saw them, he rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, look, please, my masters, please turn into your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet and rise early and go your way. And they said, no, but let us spend the night in the open square. But he urged them strongly, and they turned into him and came into his house. And he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both old and young, all the people from every part surrounded the house. And they called to Lot and said to him, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us and let us know them. I guess other Bibles would say carnally. So Lot went out to them through the doorway and shut the door behind him and said, please, my brothers, do not do evil. Look, please, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Please let me bring them out to you, and do to them as you wish. Only do no deed to these men, because they have come under the shadow of my roof. But they said, stand back. And they said, this one came into sojourn and should he always judge? Now we are going to treat you worse than them. So they pressed hard against the man Lot, and came near to break down the door. But the men reached out their hands and pulled Lot into the house with them, and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the doorway of the house with blindness, both small and great, and they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said to Lot, Have you anyone else here? A son-in-law, and your sons, and your daughters, and whomever you have in the city? Bring them out of this place. For we are going to destroy this place, because the cry against them has grown great before the face of Yahuah, and Yahuah has sent to us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spoke to his son-in-law, who had married his daughters, and said, Get up, get out of this place, for Yahuah is going to destroy this city. But to his son-in-law, he seemed to be as one joking. And when morning dawned, the messengers urged Lot to hurry, saying, Get up, take your wife and your two daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city. And while he loitered, the men took hold of his hand and his wife's hand, and the hands of his two daughters, Yahuah having compassion on him, and they brought him out and set him outside the city. And it came to be, when they had brought them outside, that he said, Escape for your life. Do not look behind you nor stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be consumed. And Lot said to them, Oh no, Yahuah, look, please, your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have increased your kindness, which you have shown me by saving my life. But I am unable to escape the mountains, lest calamity overtake me and I die. Look, please, this city is near enough to flee to, and it is small. Please let me escape there. It is not a small matter, and let my life be saved. And he said to him, Look, I have favored you concerning this matter also, without overthrowing the city for which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I am not able to do any deed until you arrive there. So the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun had risen upon the earth when Lot entered Zoar, and Yahuah rained sulfur and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah, from Yahuah out of the heavens. So he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and what grew on the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a post of salt, or a pillar of salt. And Abram rose early in the morning and went to the place where he had stood before Yahuah. And he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all the land of the plain. And he looked and saw the smoke of the land, which went up like the smoke of a furnace. Thus it came to be, when Elohim destroyed the cities of the plain, that Elohim remembered Abraham, and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot had dwelt. And Lot went up out of Zoar, and dwelt in the mountains, and his two daughters were with him. And he was afraid to dwell in Zoar, and he and his two daughters dwelt in a cave. And the firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old, and there is no man on the earth to come into us, as it is the way of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine and lie with him, so that we preserve the seed of our father. So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she arose. And it came to be on the next day that the firstborn said to the younger, See, I lay with my father last night. Let us make him drink wine tonight as well, and you go in and lie with him, so that we keep the seed of our father. So they made their father drink wine that night as well, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she arose. Thus both the daughters of Lot became pregnant by their father. And the firstborn bore a son and called his name Moab. He is the father of the Moabites to this day. And the younger she also bore a son and called his name Binyamin. He is the father of the children of Ammon to this day.
Yep, pretty interesting stuff there. But we see this is where the Moabites came from. And Moshe, his wife, was a Moabite. That's actually
Ruth was a
why
Moabite.
Aharon and Miriam were, giving him a bunch of grief. Yeah, no, I agree there, Cheyenne. I despise that part. Yeah. Not the most appropriate thing to do there, but we see that's where two of these nations that came from. But I think there was something else I wanted to mention. I'm trying to recall it. But if anything stood out to anybody else, please mention it.
I was
Or
wondering
was it a
about.
Midianite? Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Now go ahead, sister.
Oh, I was just where it said that they made a feast and made unleavened bread. Like, why would they be making unleavened bread? I wonder if it was like Passover or something.
No.
Is there any months around it? Like, I wonder if it tells later on. I don't know.
He just
I think it's going to get into that in the correlating chapters in Jubilees. Because Jubilees will give specific dates and like days of the month and things like that. Actually, I'm pretty sure it does. What is it? Yeah, so chapter 16, I can see it starts on the head of the 4th month. And then, so it must be sometime in the 4th month, I would think. We'll get into that. And yeah, it was a Midianite. My bad, I stand corrected. Yeah, Ruth was the Moabite. Yes, correct. Apologies, I got it backwards there. No, very interesting stuff. We see that's where these two nations come from. And yeah. So, Sumi, did you want to read next? And
Yes,
also, if anybody would like, awesome. If anybody else would like to volunteer to read, please let us know in the chat. And ready whenever you are, sister.
And Abraham set out from there to the land of the south, and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and stayed in Gerar. And Abraham said concerning Sarah his wife, She is my sister. And Abimelech, sovereign over Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But Elohim came to Abimelech in a dream by night, and said to him, See, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife. However, Abimelech had not come near her, and he said, Yahuah, would you slay a righteous nation also? Did he not say to me, She is my sister? And she herself said, He is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and in the innocence of my hands I have done this. And Elohim said to him in a dream, Yeah, I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart, and so I kept you from sinning against me. For this reason I did not let you touch her. And now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and let him pray for you, and you live. But if you do not return her, know that you shall certainly die, you and all that are yours. So Abimelech rose early in the morning, and called all his servants, and spoke all these words in their hearing. And the men were greatly frightened. And Abimelech called Abraham, and said to him, What have you done to us? And what have I sinned against you, that you have brought on me on my reign a great sin? You have done matters to me that should not be done. And Abimelech said to Abraham, What did you have in view, that you have done this matter? And Abraham said, Only because I said to myself, The fear of Elohim is not in this place, and they shall kill me for the sake of my wife. And yet she is truly my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife. And it came to be, when Elohim caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said to her, This is your kindness that you should do for me. In every place wherever we go, say of me, He is my brother. Then Abimelech took sheep and cattle and male and female servants, and gave them to Abraham. And he returned Sarah to him, his wife to him. And Abimelech said, See, my land is before you. Dwell wherever it is good in your eyes. And to Sarah he said, See, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. See, it is to you a covering of eyes before all who are with you, and before all others, and you are cleared before everyone. And Abraham prayed to Elohim, and Elohim healed Abimelech and his wife and his female servant, so they bore children. For Yahuah had closed up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife.
Yep. And who was the other one in scriptures that did this exact same thing, actually? It was, I don't want to get it wrong, but this happened twice. Once here with Abraham, and then
Jacob.
somebody else.
Isaac.
Yeah, was it Jacob or Isaac?
It's definitely down the line.
Jacob or Isaac, one of them.
Yeah, yeah. So very interesting stuff. And yeah, feel free to jump on in if anything sticks out to anybody. And yeah, I know Sister Germaine said she was reading from the Benner translation, which is it's the Paleo Hebrew version. And also there was some kind of muffling there in the background as well, Sumi, when you were reading. I don't know what it was.
Oh, is it better now?
Yeah, definitely better.
I had my speaker on my leg.
Oh, okay. No worries. So yeah, very interesting stuff here. And when we get in the Jubilees account, it'll give these specific dates on all these things that are going on. And so far that we've seen, Jubilees lines right up with exactly what Genesis says. Contrary to popular belief. But anyways, yeah, is there anybody who wanted to read 21? We got 21 and then 22, and then we're going to get into Jubilees here.
If nobody else wants to, I will, man. It's fine.
Awesome. Did Abraham do that more than once? And his son?
No, one of his sons did it. I mean, it wasn't him. He did it once, and then another one out of fear said that this was his half-sister. Tell him went before the king and did the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot who it was. It was either Jacob or Isaac. I forgot which one.
Yeah, yeah. Really interesting. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, it was just like Solomon and David. They both had that the problem with lust with women. You know what I mean? David did it with on his rooftop, and it crazy that when was it David's son that came over that slept with his concubines? He slept on the roof, and that's exactly where he seen Bathsheba was on his roof. I don't know if y'all ever connected that.
Interesting.
No, I was just talking about just David as being going down the line in lineage.
I wonder if that has to do with that Proverbs that says it's better to dwell in the corner of a rooftop than be with a contentious woman.
Yeah, as long as there ain't no other contentious woman across the rooftop where you're sitting at, I guess.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But yeah, go ahead whenever you're ready there, brother.
All right, let's start. So chapter 21 of Genesis, and it says, and Yahuah visited Sarah, and he said, as he had said, and Yahuah did for Sarah as he had spoken. So Sarah conceived and bore Abraham his son in his old age, at the appointed time of which Elohim had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Yitzhak. And Abraham circumcised his son Yitzhak when he was 8 days old, as Elohim had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Yitzhak was born to him. And Sarah said, Elohim has made me laugh, and everyone who hears of it laughs with me. And she said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? For I have borne him a son in his old age. And the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the day that Yitzhak was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Mitzrite, whom she had borne to Abraham, mocking. So she said to Abraham, drive out this female servant and her son, for the son of this female servant shall not inherit with me, with my son, with Yitzhak. And the matter was very evil in the eyes of Abraham because of his son. But Elohim said to Abraham, let it not be evil in your eyes because of the boy and because of your female servant. Whatever Sarah has said to you, listen to her voice, for in Yitzhak your seed is called. And of the son of the female servant I also make a nation, because he is your seed. And Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water, which he gave to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, also the boy, and sent her away. And she left and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water in the skin was used up, and she placed the boy under one of the shrubs. And she went and sat down about a bow shot away, for she said, "Let me not see the death of the boy." And she sat opposite him and lifted her voice and wept. And Elohim heard the voice of the boy, and the messenger of Elohim called to Hagar from the heavens, or the Shemaim, and said to her, "What is the matter with you, Hagar? Do not fear, for Elohim has heard the voice of the boy where he is. Arise, lift up the boy and hold him with your hand, for I make a great nation of him." And Elohim opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the skin with water, and gave the boy a drink. And Elohim was with the boy, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness, and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Mitzrayim. And it came to be at that time that Abimelech in Pickle, the commander of him, he spoke to Abraham, saying, "Elohim is with you in all that you do. And now swear to me by Elohim not to be untrue to me, to my offspring or to my descendants. Do to me according to the kindness that I have done to you and to the land in which you have dwelt." And Abraham said, "I swear." And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of a well of water which Abimelech's servants had seized. And Abimelech said, "I do not know who has done this deed, neither did you inform me, nor did I hear until today." So Abraham took his sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. And Abimelech asked Abraham, "What are these 7 ewe lambs which you have set by themselves?" And he said, "Take these 7 ewe lambs from my hand, to be my witness that I have dug this well." So he called that place Beersheba, because the two of them swore an oath there. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba, and Abimelech rose with Pishkol, the commander of his army, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. And he planted a tamarisk tree in the Beersheba, and there called on the name of Yahuah, the everlasting El, our Lord. And Abraham sojourned in the land of the Philistines many days. In the 22.
Yeah. So again, we see, Abimelech and Abraham made a covenant here, and to, separate their lambs and their land and things like that.
Their wells, yeah.
Your own baby.
Yeah, the wells, all of this. So they were trying to have shalom here is what was going on. That's what I see anyway. And then we see, them dwelling in the land of the Philistines, sorry. But 22 here is going to be our last chapter here in Genesis, and it's going to get into, Abraham and Isaac. Really profound stuff here, especially when we get into the Jubilees portion of it. So, here, I'll go ahead and read the last chapter here. And then, Sumi, if you want to read Jubilees 16, starting in 16 there afterwards.
Okay.
Just so you know where we're at. Perfect. All right. So, chapter 22. And it came to be after these events that Elohim tried Abraham and said to him, "Abraham." And he said, "Here I am." And he said, "Take your son now, your only son Yitzhak, who you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I command you." And Abraham rose early in the morning, and saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Yitzhak his son. And he split the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place which Elohim had commanded him. And what we see here, Abraham is going to offer him up as a burnt offering. This is long before Mount Sinai, the Levitical priesthood, and all that. So we see this was all already in place well before Mount Sinai. And where was I? So, okay. And on the third day, Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place from a distance. And it's interesting how they say just the third day here, but they don't tell you when and where. But Jubilees does. So Abraham said to his young men, "Stay here with the donkey, while the boy and I go over there and worship and come back to you." And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Yitzhak his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and the two of them went together. And Yitzhak spoke to Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, "Here I am, my son." And he said, "See the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering?" And Abraham said, "My son Elohim does provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering." And the two of them went together. Oh, you can just read from Yah's scriptures there, Sumi. It's all good. I'd like to compare the difference anyways when we read through it. Sorry, let me continue. And they came to the place which Elohim had commanded him, and Abraham built an altar there and placed the wood in order. And he bound Yitzhak his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the messenger of Yahuah called to him from the heavens and said, "Abraham, Abraham." And he said, "Here I am." And he said, "Do not lay your hand on the boy, nor touch him. For now I know that you fear Elohim, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." And Abraham lifted his eyes and looked and saw behind him a ram caught in a bush. And a ram is a male lamb, actually. And caught in the bush by its horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up for a burnt offering instead of his son. And so we see Yahuah really did provide. And Abraham called the name of the place Yahuah Yireh, as it is said to this day, "On the mountain Yahuah provides." I love it. And the messenger of Yahuah called to Abraham a second time from the Shamayim and said, "By myself I have sworn, declares Yahuah, because you have done this, and have not withheld your son, your only son, that I shall certainly baruch you, and I shall certainly increase your seed as the stars of the heavens, and as the sand which is on the seashore, and let your seed possess the gate of their enemies. And in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be baruch, because you have obeyed my voice." And it's really interesting because verse 17 here is kind of a prophecy of what's going to happen when they come out of Mitzrayim. Then Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba. And Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. And it came to be after these events that it was reported to Abraham, saying, "See, Milcah too has borne children to your brother Nahor, Uts his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Kemuel the father of Aram, and Chesed, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Yidlap, and Bethuel. And Bethuel brought forth Rigba, sorry. And these 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. And his concubine, whose name was Ruamah, also bore to Ba, Gaham, Tahash, and Ma'akah. Quite the names there. But as we see, it starts going into Abraham's lineage after that and his children. But I really like, how where it speaks about how his seed's going to be as of the sand of the seashore and the stars and the Shamayim. and by his seed, all nations will be blessed. Get that blessing, the Baruch. Did I miss verse 7 and 8? Did I miss verse 7 and 8? No, I'm pretty sure I read that, sister. Yeah, I did read those. I remember reading those. No worries. So, because Yah's scripture site is down, I have this. It's from pseudepigrapha.com. I'll share the link for everybody as well. But yeah, Sumi, if you want to read from Yah's scriptures, that's fine. If not, you could read from this as well. But, I'm interested in seeing the differences here.
Okay. 16. That a son would be given to him by Sarah, his wife. Is that how I was like, is that how it starts? I'm sorry. And on the head of on the head of the 4th month, we appeared to Abraham at Tabernath of Mamre, and we talked with him. And we announced to him that a son would be given to him by Sarah, his wife. And Sarah laughed, for she heard that we had spoken these words with Abraham, and we admonished her, and she became afraid and denied that she had laughed on account of the words. And we told her the name of her son, as his name is ordained and written in the tablets of the Shamaim, Yitzhak. And when we returned to her at an appointed time, she would have conceived a son. And in this month, Yahuah executed his judgments on Sodom and Gomorrah, and Zeboim, and all the region of Jordan, and he burned them with fire and sulfur, and destroyed them until this day. Even as I have declared to you all their works, that they are evil and exceedingly wicked, and that they defile themselves and commit whoring in their flesh, and work uncleanness on the earth. And in like manner, Elohim shall execute judgment on the places where they have done according to the uncleanness of the Sodomites, like the judgment of Sodom. But Lot we saved, for Elohim remembered Abraham and sent him out from the midst of the overthrow. And he and his daughters committed sin in the earth, such as had not been on the earth since the days of Adam till his time. For the man lay with his daughters. And see, it was commanded and engraved concerning all his seed on the tablets of the Shamaim to remove them and root them out, and to execute judgment upon them like the judgment of Sodom, and to leave no seed of the man on the earth on the day of condemnation. And in this month Abraham moved from Hebron, and departed, and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur in the mountains of Gerar. And in the middle of the 5th month he moved from there, and dwelt at Beersheba. And in the middle of the 6th month Yahuah visited Sarah, and did to her as he had spoken, and she conceived, and she bore a son in the 3rd month. And in the middle of the month, at the time of which Yahuah had spoken to Abraham, on the festival of the first fruits of the harvest, Yitzhak was born. And Abraham circumcised his son on the 8th day. He was the first that was circumcised according to the covenant which is ordained forever. And in the 6th year of the 4th week, we came to Abraham.
Real quick, hold on. Sorry. I just kind of wanted to point that out there real quick. So, on first fruits, the festival of first fruits, that's when Yitzhak was born. And we see here it gives us a time frame, unlike Genesis, where it didn't give us a time frame. So I just I found that pretty interesting there. And he was
the 6th. Is that the 6th month?
On the first fruits?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So it was the 3rd month in the middle of the month. When is the festival of first fruits? Actually, hold on. And it depends on which first fruits as well.
Oh, no, that's when she got. Okay, so wait, she got. It says, and in the middle of the 6th month, Yahuah visited Sarah and did her as he spoken, and she conceived. So it would have been 6, 7.
So in the 5th month is the first fruits of new wine.
Oh, and she bore a son in the 3rd month. And in the middle of the month at that time, which Yahuah had spoken on the festival of first fruit. So it was the middle of the third month. That's when first fruits. That makes sense.
Okay, yeah. No, that is when first fruits is. Yeah, exactly. Shavuot.
Now, yeah.
Wow. Really amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Go right ahead. Sorry.
And in the 6th year of the 4th week, we came to Abraham, to Beersheba, and we appeared to him as we had told Sarah that we would. I don't remember all of these we's being in is that in y'all's? As we had told Sarah that we would return to her.
Yeah, it's a we here as well.
I don't know why I never caught that before.
Yeah, because it was more than one messenger.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
there were the three messengers. One was Yahuah.
No, I know that. I never realized that, like, that they spoke as, they spoke as a group and said we.
Yeah.
That's cool. And in the 6th year of the 4th week, we came to Abraham, to Beersheba, and we appeared to him as we had told Sarah that we would return to her, and she would have conceived a son. And we returned in the 7th month and found Sarah with child before us, and we brought him, and we announced to him all the matters which had been established concerning him, that he should not die till he should bring forth 6 more sons, and should see them before he died. But in Yitzhak should his name and seed be called. And all the seed of his sons should be Gentiles, and be reckoned with the Gentiles. But from the sons of Yitzhak, one should become a Kodesh seed, and should not be reckoned among the Gentiles. For he should become the portion of the Most High, and all his seed had fallen into the possession of Elohim. And it should be to Yahuah a people for possession above all nations, and that it should become a reign in Kohanim and a Kodesh nation. And we went our way, and we announced to Sarah all that we had told him, and they both voiced with exceedingly great joy. And he built there an altar to Yahuah, who had delivered him, and who was making him rejoice in the land of his sojourning. And he celebrated a festival of joy in this month, 7 days, near the altar which he had built at Beersheba. Well, that's definitely Sukkot. And he built booths for himself. Oh, there we go. And for his servants on this festival. And he was the first to celebrate the festival of Sukkot on the earth. Wow. And during these 7 days, he brought each day to the altar a burnt offering to Yahuah, 2 bulls, 2 rams, 7 sheep, 1 goat for a sin offering, to make atonement for himself and for his seed. And a slaughtering of thanksgiving, 7 rams, 7 young goats, 7 sheep, and 7 goats.
Young goats and 7 goats.
Oh, and their grain offerings and their drink offerings. And he burned all the fat of them on the altar, a choice offering to Yahuah for a sweet-smelling fragrance. And morning and evening he burned fragrant substances, frankincense and galbanum, and fragrant gum, and nard, and myrrh, and spice, and cinnamon. All these 7 he offered crushed, mixed together in equal parts, pure. And he celebrated this festival during 7 days, rejoicing with all his heart, with all his being, he and all those who were in his house. And there was no stranger with him, nor any that was uncircumcised. And he barak his Creator, who had created him in his generation, for he had created him according to his good pleasure. For he knew and perceived that from him would arise the branch of righteousness for the everlasting generations, and from him a Kodesh seed, so that it should become like him who had made all matters. And he barak and rejoiced, and he called the name of the festival, the festival of Yahuah, a joy acceptable to the Most High. And we barak him forever, and all his seed after him throughout all the generations of the earth, because he celebrated this festival in its season, according to the witness of the tablets of the Shamaim. Oh, that's cool. For this reason it is ordained on the tablets of the Shamaim concerning Israel, that they should celebrate the festival of Sukkot 7 days with joy, in the 7th month, acceptable before Yahuah, a law forever throughout their generations every year. And to this there is no limit of days, for it is ordained forever regarding Israel, that they should celebrate it and dwell in booths, and put wreaths upon their heads, and take leafy branches and willows of the stream. And Abraham took branches of palm trees and the fruit of good trees, and every day going around the altar with the branches 7 times in the morning, he praised and gave thanks to his Elohim for all matters and joy. I don't remember him going around the altar 7 times with the branches. That's something we could do. That's cool. I love it. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, no. It's really awesome, too. And we see, it's a law forever throughout your generations. And then he even reiterates by saying there is no limit of days for this. It's ordained forever. And yeah, so, modern churchianity view is, all this is done away with. We don't got to worry about it. But the thing is all of this it's a command. It's a statute forever for all generations. Not just the ones before Messiah came, but all of them, including us here. But I love it. It just goes into so much more detail, even about the offerings and things that were going on. And these are the same offerings that we see, the Levitical priesthood was doing. Let's see, what chapter? 17? Did anybody else want to read here? I was going to get into the next chapter. I was going to read it myself because that's where we start getting into the Abraham and Isaac. Would you like to read there, Brother Brandon?
I will, brother.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, chapter 1 of Jubilees, chapter 17, verse 1. And in the first year of the 5th week, Yitzhak was weaned in this Yobel. Baby, can you turn the volume down? And Abraham, give me just a minute. Having technical difficulties again. We good? All right. And in the first year of the 5th week, Yitzhak was weaned in this Yobel, and Abraham made a great feast in the 3rd month. On the day of his son Yitzhak was weaned. And Yishmael, the son of Hagar, the Mitzrite, was before the face of Abraham his father. In his place, and Abraham rejoiced in Barak Elohim, because he had seen his sons and had not died childless. And he remembered the words which he had spoken to him on the day of which Lot had parted from him, and he rejoiced because Yahuah had given him seed upon the earth to inherit the earth. And he Barak with all his mouth, the creator of all matters. And Sarah saw Yishmael playing and dancing, and Abraham rejoicing with great joy, and she became jealous of Yishmael. So this word's a little bit different than Genesis. Jealous of Yishmael, and said to Abraham, drive out this female servant and her son, for the son of this female servant shall not be heir with my son Yitzhak. And the matter was evil in Abraham's sight, because of his female servant and because of his son, that he should drive them from him. And Elohim said to Abram, let it not be evil in your sight because of the child and because of the female servant. And all that Sarah has said to you, listen in her words and act, for in Yitzhak shall your name and seed be called. But as for the son of this female servant, I shall make him a great nation, because he is of your seed. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a flask of water and placed them on the shoulders of Hagar and the child and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba, and the water in the flask was used up, and the child was thirsty and was not able to go on and fell down. That was not in Genesis. And his mother took him and placed him under an olive tree and went and sat down opposite him, the distance of a bow shot, for she said, let me not see the death of my child. And as she sat, she wept. And a messenger of Elohim, one of the Kodeshim, said to her, why do you weep, Hagar? Arise, take the child and hold him in your hand, for Elohim has heard your voice and has seen the child. And she opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled her flask with water. And she gave her child to drink. And she arose and went towards the wilderness of Paran. And the child grew and became an archer, and Elohim was with him. And his mother brought him a wife from among the daughters of Mitzrayim, and she bore him a son, and he called his name Nebaioth. For she said, Yahuah was near to me when I called upon him. And it came to be in the 7th week in the first year, in the first month, in the Yobel, on the 12th of this month, there were voices in the Shamaim regarding Abraham, that he was trustworthy in all that he told him, and that he loved Yahuwah, and that in every affliction he was trustworthy. And the prince of Mastema came and said before Elohim, see, Abraham loves Yitzhak his son, and he delights in him above all other matters. Command him to offer him as a burnt offering on the altar, and you shall see if he shall do this command, and you shall know if he is trustworthy in all in which you try him. And Yahuwah knew that Abraham was trustworthy in all his afflictions, for he had tried him through his land and with scarcity of food, and had tried him with the wealth of the sovereigns, and had tried him again through his wife when she was taken, and with circumcision, and had tried him through Ishmael and Hagar and his female servant when he sent them away. And in all in which he had tried him, he was found trustworthy, and his being was not impatient, and he was not slow to act, for he was trustworthy and loved Yahuwah.
Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Love it.
That was
Yeah,
beautiful.
it just gives more detail to these stories and why things happen. Like in Genesis, it doesn't give that detail that she became jealous of her, but we see that here. And then just like, why did she leave him by the tree and, run away? Well, because they ran out of water.
I know they made it seem like in Genesis, like she more scoffed at Sarah, and that's why Sarah told her, that because she got pregnant too,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, that's crazy. So you had two different point of views. It was like Sarah's point of view in Genesis, but in Jubilees is kind of more of Hagar's kind of point of view, I guess, in a way. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense actually, because
right. That's awesome.
Man. So verse 15 here is actually very important as well. So it's in the first month, on the 12th of the month. So this is where we see this starts to take place. And then in the next chapter is going to get into, the whole sacrifice of, well, not the sacrifice, but when Abraham was going to offer up Isaac, Yitzhak. So here, I'll read chapter 18 here. And Yahuwah said to him, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am. And he said, take your beloved son, who you love, Isaac, Yitzhak, and go into the high country, and offer him on one of the mountains, which I will point out unto you. And he rose early in the morning, and saddled his donkey, and he took his 2 young men with him, and Yitzhak his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering. And he went to the place on the 3rd day. So 12 plus 3, we get 15th. So the 15th of the first month. And he saw the place afar off. And remember, it says the same thing in Genesis too, but it doesn't tell you which month or which day it was. So we see this is the 15th of the first month. This is all occurring. And the 15th of the first month is the high Shabbat of the Unleavened Bread Festival. So this is exactly why Yahushua Messiah was offered up not on the night of Passover, but the next day, because this was the 15th of the first month. Not only does Abraham and Yitzhak represent, Yahuwah and Yahusha in that way, it also represents him in that male lamb, the ram, being caught up in the bush and offered up instead. It's really profound. But let me continue here. And he came to a well of water, and said to his young men, abide here with the donkeys, and me and the lad shall go yonder. Sorry, this is definitely not the Yah Scriptures version. So, and when we have worship, we shall come again to you. And he took the wood of the burnt offering, and laid it on Yitzhak his son. And he took in his hands the fire and the knife. And they went, both of them, together to that place. And Yitzhak said to his father, Father. And he said, here I am, my son. And he said unto him, Behold, the fire and the knife, and the wood, but where is the sheep for the burnt offering, father? And he said, Elohim will provide himself a sheep for a burnt offering, my son. And he drew near to the place of the mount of Yahuah. Yeah, it was Yitzhak that did the same thing there as Abraham. Yeah, thank you. So we see, the specific word here is sheep. And we see the ram, which is a male sheep, caught in the bush. We're going to see that coming up here. And he built an altar, and he placed the wood on the altar, and bound Yitzhak his son, and placed him on the wood which was upon the altar, and stretched forth his hand to take the knife to slay Yitzhak his son. And I stood before him, and before the prince Mistema. And Yahuah said, Bid him not to lay his hand on the lad, nor do anything to him, for I have shown that he fears Yahuah. He was also born on the 15th of the 3rd month, Shavuot. Yeah. That's when Messiah was born also. Interesting. That's a good point. I'm going to have to study into that more. But yeah, I would definitely check that out. Yeah, because it only makes sense. Oh, thank you for adding that, Sister Jackie. Where was I here? Sorry. Verse 10. And I called to him from the Shamayim and said unto him, Abraham, Abraham. And he was terrified and said, Behold, here am I, or here I am. No, yeah, we don't really know, but that's what I believe. No, I got you, sister. No worries. Yeah, it's not 100% clear. But something I wanted to point out here is it went from, those different messenger angels to now it's speaking about the messenger of Yahuah, the messenger angel of Yahuah, who is Yahuah himself. And it says, I stood before him versus we. So this is the word of Yahuah speaking directly to Abraham. All right, verse 11. And I said unto him, Lay not your hand upon the lad, neither do anything to him. For now I have shown that you fearest Yahuah, and has not withheld your son, your firstborn son, from me. And the prince Mistema was put to shame. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a ram was caught by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. Boom, that's it right there. It's really what's the right word here? I don't want to say idiom, but it's the foreshadowing of, Yahushua Messiah offering himself up. And not only that, but Abraham and Yitzhak, that them themselves are also a foreshadowing of the same thing. It's really profound. And this all happened on the 15th day of the 1st month, the high Shabbat of Matzah, the unleavened bread. All right, verse 13 here. And Abraham called that place, Yahuah has seen, so that it is said in the mount, Yahuah has seen. That is Mount Zion. Interesting. Does it say Mount Zion in your translation there? Or Sion?
My translation does.
Interesting. Is it like Sion, like this on screen with a S?
Yes.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's just different.
I
Oh,
wondered if that was talking about like actual Mount Zion, but Mount Zion in my translation, it sometimes is spelled with a Z, and other times it's spelled with an S. So I don't know what to make of that.
yeah, interesting. I believe we've come across that before, actually. I think it says the same thing in Deuteronomy, I believe, but it has it only one time like that. So yeah, I don't think this is like Mount Zion because we see all throughout scriptures that's in the midst of the earth, the middle. So this must be some kind of similar name mountain. I don't know. Interesting.
If you guys tag me, I'm doing something right now, but I can look and at the Sepharia and look at the actual Hebrew
Yeah, that'd be awesome,
of what
actually.
verse it is, or I can screenshot it here.
Let's see. It's chapter 18, verse 13.
Okay, I'll look in a little bit.
Awesome. 2 dots, sister. Yeah, I'm quite interested. Zion and Zion relation. Yeah, if you look that word up in like the Strongs, just in the 66 books, it's only used like once. But very interesting stuff. But let's continue here. Yahuah called Abram by his name a second time from heaven, from the Shamayim, as he caused us to appear to speak to him in the name of Yahuah. And he said, by myself I have sworn, say Yahuah, because you have done this thing, and have not withheld your son, your beloved son, from me, that in a barakoth I will barak you. And I'm trying to read past the King Jimmy language here too. So, and in multiplying I will multiply your seed, as the stars of the Shamayim, and as the sand which is on the seashore. And your seed shall inherit the cities of its enemies. And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be barakoth. And yet, there we see it again. They'll inherit the cities of their enemies, when they are taken out of Mitzrayim and gone to the promised land. We see all the cities are built there. There's already flocks and gardens and fruit trees, and everything's already there, ready. And in your seed all nations of the earth shall be barakoth, because you have obeyed my voice, and I have shown to all that you are faithful unto me in all that I have said unto you. Now go in shalom. And Abraham went to his young men, and they arose and went together to Beersheba. And Abraham dwelt by the well of the oath. And he celebrated this festival every year, 7 days with joy. And he called it the festival of Yahuah, according to the 7 days, which he went and returned in shalom. So what festival is this? The festival of matzah, unleavened bread. We see it was done here by Abraham. And the Passover was actually added to it during the Exodus. Kind of like how which we're going to read about as well, but the 8th great day that was added to the end of Sukkot by Abraham. The Passover was added at the beginning of the festival of unleavened bread. So it's kind of interesting because Passover and unleavened bread are at the beginning of the year, and Sukkot is at the end of the year. So the days were placed accordingly, like before and after. All right, so, and accordingly has it been ordained and written on the heavenly tablets regarding Israel and its seed, that they should observe this festival 7 days with joy of festival. Love it. And then 19 will be the last chapter we read here in Jubilees. And if anybody would like to volunteer to read, feel free. If not, I'm sure Brandon or Sumi won't have a problem reading.
I can read.
Awesome. That'd be awesome. Thank you, sister. And yeah, whenever you're ready.
Starting with chapter 19.
Yeah, chapter 19.
Okay. And in the first year of the first week, in the 42nd Jubilee, Abraham returned and dwelt opposite Hebron, that is Kirjath Arba, 2 weeks of years. And in the first year of the third week of this Jubilee, the days of the life of Sarah were accomplished, and she died in Hebron. And Abraham went to mourn over her and bury her, and we tried him to see if his spirit were patient, and he were not indigent in the words of his mouth, for he was found patient in this, and was not disturbed. For in the patience of his spirit he conversed with the children of Heth, to the intent that they should give him a place in which to bury his dead. And Elohim gave him grace before all who saw him, and besought in gentleness the sons of Heth, and gave him the land of the double cave over against Mamre, that is Hebron, for 400 pieces of silver. And they besought him, saying, We shall give it to thee for nothing. But he would not take it from their hands for nothing. For he gave the price of the place, the money in full, and he bowed down before them twice. And after this he buried his dead in the double cave. And all the days of the life of Sarah were 127 years, that is, 2 Jubilees and 4 weeks and 1 year. And these are the days of the years of the life of Sarah. This is the 10th trial wherewith Abraham was tried, and he was found faithful, patient in spirit. And he said not a single word regarding the rumor in the land, how that Yahuah had said that he would give it to him and to his seed after him. And he begged a place there to bury his dead, for he was found faithful and was recorded on the heavenly tablets as a friend of Yahuah. And in the 4th year thereof he took a wife for his son Isaac, and her name was Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Nahor, the brother of Abraham, the sister of Laban, and the daughter of Bethuel. And Bethuel was the son of Melechah, who was the wife of Nahor, the brother of Abraham. And Abraham took to himself a 3rd wife, and her name was Keturah, from among the daughters of his household servants, for Hagar had died before Sarah. And she bare him 6 sons, Zimran, and Jokshan, and Midian, and Ishbak, and Shusha, in the 2 weeks of years. And in the 6th week, in the 2nd year thereof, Rebekah bare to Isaac 2 sons, Jacob and Esau. And Jacob was a smooth and upright man, and Esau was fierce, a man of the field, and hairy. And Jacob dwelt in tents. And the youths grew, and Jacob learned to write, but Esau did not learn, for he was a man of the field and a hunter, and he learnt war, and all his deeds were fierce. And Abraham loved Jacob, but Isaac loved Esau. And Abraham saw the deeds of Esau, and he knew that in Jacob should his name and seed be called. And he called Rebekah, and gave commandment regarding Jacob, for he knew that she too loved Jacob much more than Esau. And he said unto her, My daughter, watch over my son Jacob, for he shall be in my stead on the earth, and for a blessing in the midst of the children of men, and for the glory of the whole seed of Shem. For I know that Elohim will choose him to be a people for possession unto himself, above all peoples that are upon the face of the earth. And behold, Isaac my son loves Esau more than Jacob, but I see that thou truly lovest Jacob, and still further to thy kindness to him, And let thine eyes be upon him in love, for he shall be a blessing unto us on the earth from henceforth unto all generations of the earth. And let thy hands be strong, and let thy heart rejoice in thy son Jacob, for I have loved him far beyond all my sons. And he shall be blessed forever, and his seed shall fill the whole earth. If a man can number the sand of the earth, his seed also shall be numbered. And all the blessings wherewith Elohim hath blessed me, and my seed shall belong to Jacob, and his seed always. And in his seed shall my name be blessed. And the names of my fathers, Shem, and Noab, and Enoch, and Mahalalel, and Enos, and Seth, and Adam, and these shall serve, to lay the foundations of heaven, and to strengthen the earth, and to renew all the luminaries which are in the firmament. And he called Jacob before the eyes of Rebekah his mother, and kissed him, and blessed him, and said, Jacob, my beloved son, whom my soul loveth, may Yahuah bless thee from above the firmament, and may he give thee all the blessings wherewith he blessed Adam, Enoch, and Noah, and Shem, and all these things of which he told me, and all the things which he promised to give me. May he cause to cleave to thee and to thy seed forever, according to the days of heaven above the earth. And the spirits of Mastema shall not rule over thee, or over thy seed, to turn thee from Elohim, who is thy Yahuah, from henceforth forever. And may Yahuah Elohim be the father to thee, and to thy firstborn son, and to the people always. Go in peace, my son. And they both went forth together from Abraham. And Rebekah loved Jacob with all her heart and with all her soul, very much more so than Esau. But Isaac loved Esau much more than Jacob.
Thank you, sister.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
And yeah, we see all the mentions of the firmament here as well. Lots of that. And I know it seems like we got a little bit ahead of the Genesis reading, but Jubilees, it kind of blends the two together here. And verse 20, it's going to really start out where we left off in Genesis as well. But no, thank you for that. And yeah, we just see all the mentions of the firmament proving, scriptural cosmology. But I really love reading the Book of Jubilees along with the Torah portions there. Golgotha, the mountain of the skull. Yeah, that's what that means.
I know some consider the Book of Jubilees to be like the little Genesis, but I think it's like the foundations that Moses used to write Genesis. It's just kind of my theory.
No, I would agree. Yeah, they call it the little Genesis, but it goes into more detail than what Genesis does. And we see it's found in the Dead Sea Scrolls as well.
Yeah, how
And
many
just to,
copies again?
it was actually found more than most of the Torah books that we know of. It was like the 5th or 6th most commonly found scroll.
Again,
It's actually,
even more than Genesis, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Genesis was like 1 or 2. I'd have to double check, actually. I think it was like Genesis, Exodus, and then like Enoch and Jubilees. Something in that order. I had to double check that. But yeah, it's up there on the list, 100%. And, reading through it like we are directly next to Genesis, we see, there's really no contradictions or anything like whatsoever. It just goes into a bit more detail, different perspectives, and it also gives, timestamps as well. It also goes into the story of how, Abraham observed the festival of matzah, unleavened bread. And it was the unleavened cakes that he made for the messengers, as well as making meat for the messengers, which they consumed. So yeah, lots of really good stuff here. And let's see, how long have we been going? Probably not too long. Let's see. Only an hour and 20 minutes. That's was wondering if Mount Sion was Golgotha. Yeah, he was in the land at this time, wasn't he? Yeah. Well, that's a good question there, Greg. Because that's where Yahusha was crucified, right there. And another interesting thing about Sodom and Gomorrah is, I don't know if you all have seen, but Ron Wyatt, he found those ancient cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. He actually goes to these sites and he found the sulfur balls and things like that. It's one of the purest forms of sulfur found on the earth right now. And when you look at these areas, it looks just like these mountains and these different things that we find that are also found in other places across the earth, like melted buildings and things like that. The only difference is Sodom and Gomorrah was turned to straight ash, not just melted. As a matter of fact, we might be able to play a little video showing that for those who haven't seen. Let's see.
Ooh, please do. That would be fantastic. I love watching that.
Yeah, it even shows, if it's the same video that I'm thinking of, where they actually take one of those sulfur balls and light it on fire. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
still, yeah, okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, where is it?
Because the sulfur that we have right now doesn't burn like that.
Yeah, exactly.
With that sulfur balls being like 100%, yeah.
Here's like a, what is this? There's like a 20-minute video. I don't want it to be like hours long, but there are hour-long ones. 2-hour-long ones I see here too, but
I don't mind
I
the
just
20-minute one if nobody else does.
Yeah, here, let me get this link. Just kind of make sure it's, scroll through it here a bit. Yeah, it seems to be a correct one. So I'll share the link in the chat here, and then I'll share my screen, and we'll take a look at it. Because I know we've talked about it so many times. We just never have seen it. So I think now would be a great time. So let me share the screen here. And I shared the link there in chat. And if you just type in, like right there, Ron Wyatt, Sodom and Gomorrah, there'll be a whole list of videos. And really the one that's over 2 hours is probably the best one. But anyways, let me go ahead and be quiet, and I will play the video here.
Sodom and Gomorrah. You may order a copy of this program through ArkDiscovery.com. See ArkDiscovery.com to become a direct seller of this DVD. Sodom and Gomorrah. When the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot to hurry, saying, "Arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters, who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city." Lot, his wife and daughters, all fled from the terrible destruction of Sodom. Likewise, as it was also in the days of Lot, they ate, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built. But on the day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Wicked men were punished by the Lord in the divine judgment of fire. The intense heat consumed the wicked cities and their inhabitants. But Lot's wife looked back toward her beloved Sodom, violating the angel's command, and was thus turned into a pillar of salt. Turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them to destruction, making them an example of those who afterward would live ungodly. This is a visible example that is mentioned here. The Bible tells us the cities were in the plain of Jordan, which is the area surrounding the Dead Sea, and it was once a beautiful, lush area. At 1,300 feet below sea level, this is the lowest place on earth, a very hot and desolate region that was cursed by God because of the sins of the people. Sodom had pride, fullness of food, and abundance of idleness. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. And they were haughty and committed abominations before me. Flavius Josephus, the first-century Jewish historian, tells us, "There are still the remainders of that divine fire, and the traces of the 5 cities are still to be seen." Popular thought has it that the cities were later covered by the waters of the Dead Sea. But if Josephus could see the cities in his day, then we should be able to view them also, as the water level has, if anything, receded since his time. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as you go toward Gerar, as far as Gaza. Then as you go toward Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, as far as Lasha. The biblical description tells us the cities were spread out, forming a line along the Canaanite border, not grouped together in one area, as some may think. Driving along the coastal highway of the Dead Sea in Israel, one can soon see peculiar formations that are of a lighter color than the surrounding terrain. These are the ashen cities, destroyed by the wrath of God. These cities were consumed by intense flames, a supernatural heat that was directed by the hand of God. Today there is ash that is of lighter color than the surrounding mountains and terrain. As mentioned in the Bible, this is a desolate area where nothing grows. Inspecting the formations closely, one can see structures containing man-made elements, such as 90-degree angles. Even though the buildings were consumed by the fire, the remaining ash in these cities is comprised of a heavier material due to the inclusion of brimstone or sulfur, and still retains some of the original shapes of man-made structures. This stunning structure stands out as a singular formation with 4 sides, surrounded by a deep moat. We move in closer to inspect the unusual features evident on the side of the formation. On the side of the structure, this swirling pattern is different from any type of sedimentary rock or soil that would normally contain horizontal, even layers. These swirling designs were also seen in other ashen formations in the cities. This is evidence of extreme heat, up to 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit, where thermal ionization occurs, when the electrons repel and attract, forming these unusual swirling designs. In Lot's day, this area was a swirling cauldron of death and destruction, rained down from the Lord in heaven. Strange anomalies can be seen here, such as these fragile layers of material which disintegrate when touched. The limestone buildings in the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah were totally transformed into ash by the consuming fire of the Lord. Evidence of this destruction is revealed in the white gypsum anomalies in the area, including unusual shapes of chalk-like material, which is not found in other parts of the country. Even layers of white and gray material can also be seen, comprising gypsum and ash. At the time of Elijah on Mount Carmel, the Lord sent down a superheated fire from heaven, consuming the stone altar and sacrifice, turning them into ashes. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and it licked up the water that was in the trench. We are also told, "For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God." When God unleashes a consuming fire, it will turn stone into ashes. At the perimeter of this city, one can see this amazing Sphinx still standing today. It was a pagan symbol positioned at the edge of town and was thought to protect the inhabitants from harm. The Sphinx stands alone as a singular structure with a defined shape. This particular Sphinx has an obvious demarcation between its base and the soil below it, another sign of a man-made structure placed on top of the soil. Later, we will see another Sphinx. From a higher level, a large section of gypsum has fallen down here. It clearly exhibits the alternating layers of white ash that is calcium sulfate, gray ash that is calcium carbonate. One can also find loose or powdery ash that is quite thick and has been deposited next to the formations. The ash is made up of calcium carbonate and calcium sulfate, which comes from the limestone buildings and the brimstone mixing together during the fire. In the formations themselves, some material can be gently raked off the surface with the slightest touch. Looking down the city streets, one can notice man-made shapes which are not found in nature. Here we see a building with square sides or 90-degree angles. From the opposite side, we can see the same symmetrical structure and man-made angles. We can see the remains of walls that extended outward at 90-degree angles from the main structure. Once again, further evidence of man-made construction. Here we can see square windows that are visible in the walls of the structures, which give us a view of the past. Scanning the city for signs of prior habitation, we can see in the foreground a tower of cylindrical design, positioned at the edge of the city. The remains have suffered greatly during 3,500 years of wind and rain erosion. Even still, there is the appearance here of streets and man-made structures. Here in the foreground, we have a conical shape, resting on a raised area. A short distance away, we see another similar shape. As we pan across the city, we can see in the distance an arched doorway that exhibits a symmetrical shape, even to this day. The whole land is brimstone, salt and burning. It is not sown, nor does it bear, nor does any grass grow there, like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, which the Lord overthrew in his anger and his wrath. More anomalies are found in the cities. In this case, we have a large hardened clump of material that we broke open, revealing layers of previously heated material, including gypsum crystals created by the combination of limestone and sulfur. From the intense heat, various objects were melted in the cities. Here we have some material that was boiling on top, while the remainder of the substance pooled at the bottom, creating a solid base. A very unusual find here, but just another strange anomaly not found in other areas of the country. Here is another example of some type of substance that was melted from the extreme heat that God rained down from above. Resting on the ground, we find an unusual layer of gypsum crystals. Underneath the crystals is a layer of white gypsum, then gray ash, all of which was created by the great conflagration of heat, which consumed these sinful cities along the Dead Sea. Once again, we find more gypsum, this time in a circular formation of crystals, all radiating outward. Then the Lord rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah, from the Lord out of the heavens. Brimstone. Our first sample was found here, having been washed down from a higher location. This is the heavenly marker left behind, which proves the sites to be the real Sodom and Gomorrah. Ron Wyatt was the original discoverer of these cities in 1989, and he now describes the brimstone found here.
Okay, we're down at Sodom and Gomorrah still. Right in front of you see some unusual looking spots on this, shall we say, layer of ash. It's not stone, it's ash. Now we'll move in for a close-up of this. And you can see that they're kind of circular shaped places. Now what we have found, and we'll move in a little closer here, is that inside each of these is sulfur. That is in most of them. Now the ones that do not have sulfur in them, and this one we just took a bunch of sulfur out and put it in our specimen bag. But the ones that don't have sulfur have a very black center where they have, where it's been very hot. So now we'll move in on this one where there is some sulfur still present, and back off just enough so you can see what we're up to here. And we'll go collect that sample in a bag. Before I started using this knife, it was very, very sharp. Okay, here this is, and we have collected some more, and it smells and tastes like sulfur. Now the Bible tells us that it rained fire and brimstone upon the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Now what you see in front of you here is the results of large and small, well, varying sized chunks of sulfur, burning sulfur that have hit. And what we find here is that God rained this burning sulfur down upon this city, and rain is a perfect description of it. It landed just in the pattern that rain would fall, and the stuff, of course, the accumulative heat of all of this upon the city set the entire thing ablaze. The flashpoint of every material there, metal, stone, of course the people, and everything burned, and this sulfur continued to burn, and it vitrified the material around it. After it had burned it all up, sealed itself off from the oxygen, and then of course smothered itself out. And in each of these little crystalline capsules here is a varying size chunk of sulfur, and there are millions of these in these ashes that we have here. Now some of them we have cracked open so you can see the sulfur inside, and others we have left intact, but there are millions of these here. So this shows that God indeed rained fire and brimstone upon these cities. And if you look in your dictionary, under brimstone, you'll find that it is sulfur.
A piece of the brimstone from the cities was lit at night, and soon there was a beautiful blue flame produced by the burning sulfur. A very strong aroma of sulfur filled the air, and was overpowering if one directly breathed the fumes. Exploring the cities further, more brimstone was found of various shapes and sizes. Several samples had been washed down to areas below and were added to our growing collection. This brimstone is made of monoclinic, white sulfur that has been burned or cooked at a high temperature. It is quite different from natural sulfur that is formed in geothermal areas. Samples were taken to a lab for analysis. Each specimen was carefully separated and prepared for testing, with the outer portion cast aside. Next, the samples were dried and placed in a rock crusher. Then they were pressed onto a disc. Then they were loaded into a machine for the semi-quantitative X-ray analysis. Each sample was individually transported into the testing chamber for analysis. The results proved to be quite amazing. As the samples were found to be 98% pure sulfur, unlike any other sulfur found on Earth. This pure, cooked sulfur is the heavenly marker that was left behind to show the world that the Lord, without a doubt, destroyed these sinful cities at His command. Critics have said that the sulfur is from volcanic activity, but that type of rhombic sulfur is only 40% sulfur and is of a crystalline form, unlike the white, compacted monoclinic form that is found in the ashen cities today. Here is a round piece of brimstone embedded in a section of ash. Another clump of ash contains a piece of brimstone that has a burn ring surrounding the unburned sulfur inside. This mound of material has a lid that easily comes off, revealing the round nugget of brimstone inside. As we gaze across the southern end of the Dead Sea, we can view the El Lisan Peninsula in Jordan. Apparently the city of Gomorrah extended over to this peninsula in the days of Lot. One can find the same white formations in this area. Ashen formations are seen, including walls extending out at 90-degree angles. We can also see clumps of gypsum scattered on the ground, like this one here. Brimstone is also found in this area. Incredibly, a Byzantine-era church was constructed here, as noted on this sign, built here because the area was known for its biblical significance. Back over at Gomorrah proper, we can see white, ashen worship structures built atop an acropolis or high place. Both a sphinx and ziggurat are seen here, side by side, much like what we see in Egypt at Giza, with the sphinx and the pyramids built in close proximity to each other. While inspecting Gomorrah, other visitors arrived to view the unusual formations. The sphinx is made of a white material, whiter than the ash surrounding it. Perhaps it was built of more expensive components and dedicated to their pagan gods. The sphinx represented a god of protection, but even it was consumed in the flames. It is approximately 30 feet long and is quite impressive, both in its shape and size. Resting near it is the ziggurat, symmetrical in shape and also comprised of a special white material. Here we can see a ziggurat standing next to a symmetrical tower. Next, we can see an arched door between two pillars, and once again, another arched door. As we scan across the city, our eye notices a raised white formation in the distance. As we near the formation, we can see it is in the shape of a ziggurat. It turns out there are actually two ziggurats on this raised acropolis. As we stood next to one of the ziggurats, our team found perfect specimens of melted brimstone, where the liquid from the burning sulfur had cooled down, forming a hard, crystalline shell around the unburned sulfur that was hidden inside. On the outside of the ziggurat, we spotted a piece of brimstone fused into the side of the formation. Using a knife, it was opened, revealing the pure brimstone inside. Resting on a ledge of the ziggurat, we see another sample of brimstone that was opened with a knife, once again revealing the pure sulfur inside. The most impressive evidence was this cremated bone fragment that was left behind from some lost soul of Gomorrah. The bone marrow inside was cooked until it had turned white. This is a moving testimony of God's power to destroy those who reject the Holy Spirit. Are we in the will of God, allowing the Holy Spirit to guide us into obedience? Or are we part of the rebellious and lost? There is a future event mentioned in Revelation, but the cowardly, unbelieving, abominable, murderers, sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. The day is coming, burning like an oven, and all the proud, yes, all who do wickedly, will be stubble. And the day which is coming shall burn them up. The surface of the earth will be as a lake of fire, with all unrepentant sinners being consumed by fire and brimstone, just as Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed. Friend, there is only one way to escape the punishing flames of the second death, and that is through Jesus Christ. Won't you ask Him to take over your life today?
All right, so we see, how that all connects with actually what Sister Miranda was covering in her presentation just last week, the meltology, these melted buildings, You know, just like with the Dead Sea Scrolls and all that. Actually, let me find a picture and just we can do some comparisons here to, you know, exactly what we just saw there. And here, let me share my screen. And we see these things all over the place, and they call them rock formations and what have you. But we know that that's really not the case. Now, this is the Dead Sea Scrolls, and look at how similar these pictures look to exactly what we just saw there at Sodom and Gomorrah. Like even down to the shape of these doors and windows and things like that. And we see, like this picture here, straight up, it's a room with these doors and angular shaped, you know, straight shaped outcrops and things like that. This is the Dead Sea Scrolls, Qumran here. We see the exact same stuff. The only difference is this place is still rock, so it wasn't fully consumed by the fire. It did melt. And then here, so Grand Canyon is another good example. So yeah, there's places here. I mean, all these are really good examples. We could see the same stuff here as well. Like all these same type of formations, things like that. There's even areas where they call them like temples, like this ziggurat shaped thing here, just like we saw on that video. And again, the only difference here is these places, they're still made of rock. They weren't completely burned to ash. Oh, this one's a really good one. Look at this formation here. So we see different examples of that same thing happening. And look, like an archway. They say this formed naturally. How does that form naturally? It does not.
Well, and why don't we see land forming naturally like that today? If it was a natural formation.
Boom. Good point.
Jeremy, do you have that one picture where it shows somewhere in the Grand Canyon where you can see a partially melted or melted pyramid and like a sphinx?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a neat picture.
Or how do you spell? There it is. Yeah. Where is it? I mean, you can clearly see that what that is. And then here's the pyramid one. And it's similar to shape as that other formation we just saw too. And here's like that one might be a bit harder to see. It's going to be one of these. YouTube short. Interesting. Yeah, and then we also went over that. Oh, look, here's another one. Very interesting. We went over where that axe is on top of that tree stump, but it's all rock formation. Actually, what was it? It was someplace in New Mexico. Yeah, here it is. King of Wings Rock. I mean, look at this. This looks like some Nephilim giant chopped down one of these giant trees and just left his axe there on top of it. There's no way that these things form naturally like that. No way. This is an actual place you can go and visit as well. This isn't just some AI generated stuff. No, this is legit for real. Yeah, here's a little comparison there as well of of an axe being on a tree. We could see that same thing going on there. Yeah, King of Wings. Yeah. And Shabbat Shalom, by the way, Brother Lachlan. So yeah, we see this evidence everywhere. And wait, what is this? Oh, some kind of other formation as well. But we see these types of formations everywhere. Like, look at this one right here. It's got the rings and everything. This is just the top of a mountain. And we got the Devil's Tower as well. All of these things. So I believe that they know about this. They, meaning the ones who are in control of the information. And they just, push the narrative that these are just natural rock formations. Some volcano exploded and, instead of going straight up, it went sideways and created this. Whatever nonsense they come up with. And, people believe it. Yeah,
Just
quote
like the
unquote.
devil's, Jeremy, the Devil's Tower. They said they did some kind of, I don't know if it was sonar, to see if there was a root system underneath the Devil's Tower, and there was a huge root system. So definitely also proved that it was a tree at one time.
Yeah, I've actually seen that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep. So to claim that they are quote unquote mountains or rock formations made by volcanoes, extremely inaccurate and very deceptive for what they actually are. And all of this, what does it do? It shows that Yahuah's word is absolute truth. What is written in the scriptures, what we see here, the historical evidence and the facts, that doesn't lie. The only truth that we can find in this world is in his word. And that's found in the scriptures. It's not going to be found by, or the guy who says that this is a natural rock formation. No, is he going to tell you the truth? Not at all, because he himself is deceived by even spouting out that this is just a natural rock formation.
Right, and the reasoning behind that is because it's been formed over millions of years.
Yeah, millions and billions of years. Yeah. That's the problem as well. There's just so much deception. And, for me, honestly, this all connects together with everything else. Like, all the scriptures connects just as deeply as all the deception that they feed us connects. And it all points to the truth of Yahuah and his truth. And once you start seeing these things, we can see more of that deception that's going on, like right in front of our eyes. We see these quote unquote rock formations and things like that, like Sodom and Gomorrah completely turned to ash with the sulfur there as well. Sulfur that's not found anywhere else on earth. And the critics can't even say anything because they tried to claim, like you saw, they tried to claim, oh, it's from a volcano. But then it gets tested, well, it's only 40% from volcanoes. That was like 90% sulfur. And I did share a link to all of Ron Wyatt's discoveries there. It's a couple hours long, but, if you haven't seen it or if you just want to review it again, really good stuff. And I think it's really awesome because it connects back to, what we were speaking about last week as well. This little time of deception that we're in. And we could see all these melted buildings. And why are all these things melted? It's because the heat, the wrath of Yahuah burned enough to melt the mountains. That's actually biblical in the scriptures, scriptural. And that time of, his anger burning and melting, it came right before the millennial reign happened. Then there was the 1,000 years of Shalom. And then comes the little season of deception where they hide the truth. They lie about mountains. They lie about history. They lie about those who claim they are Jews but are not, the synagogue of Hasatan. They get everybody to believe that those very people who have rewritten and lied about history, they get people to prop them up. But anyways, I just love how it all connects together just like that. Sorry, just checking the chat here.
Jeremy, was Jermaine going to read from the Psalms today?
Oh, yes, that's right. Thank you for reminding me. Sister Germaine doing her reading from Psalms and Sirach. Which, are you ready there, sister? Oh, there she
No,
is.
I just got back from the goats and I have to do a couple of things, but I'd say in about half an hour. Is that okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, Ta.
Yeah, no, we enjoy your readings. Very important stuff, too. And so I was thinking, because I wanted to do another calendar presentation and just basically recap everything we've already covered. And maybe we can do that next Shabbat. Because I know there's quite a few new people here that are very interested in the calendar. And I know we have our whole calendar playlist with the videos and the write-ups and PDFs. But it'd be good just to, go over it as a fellowship together again.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. And it's been a while since we've done that, so.
Yeah, I think that would be nice.
Maybe play parts of Sister Marissa's videos and such for those who haven't had a chance to watch, or just, go over them again.
Jeremy, have you heard from Libby? Has she listened to the updated of the calendar with the North?
I haven't heard from her since a couple weeks ago when she popped in the chat.
Okay. So has she gotten a chance to go over the new findings?
I cannot say. I don't know if she's had a chance to watch them or anything like that. I know she popped in a couple weeks ago and said Shabbat Shalom.
Okay.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hey.
I heard the Libby. It's Claire from London, UK as well. I spoke to Libby a couple of weeks ago. She wasn't very well actually. She had a chest infection, but I think she's okay now. But yeah, I don't know about any new findings. I'm trying to keep up to date with stuff, but I can't follow everything that goes on in this group. But I was asking you a little bit earlier before you started. We're in a group where they do the Wednesday Sabbath, and we've been trying to just go there just to have fellowship. But it's now come to a head where they've learned that we don't keep their Sabbath. So I've said, well, unless we sort of have a study on it where we can all take it really slowly. And this guy is really good at doing studies because he sorry about the background noise. I've just realised I'm in a public house here where we're sitting studying at a big table. Lots of people in the background. Yeah, unless we can have a slow study where we can all take it all in, then we're not going to be able to discuss it, because me and Tim here, we're sort of, we've got the basics, but we can't follow along with all the in-depth stuff like Marissa's stuff and all the things about the luminaries and everything. Obviously, it's quite deep. But this guy, he's very good at. He went through Revelations in quite a few weeks. It was very, very long. So it does sound like if he was interested in studying it, it would be a long thing. But I wanted to find out if there's anything that was really easy to give them, because they've just started looking at, what was that one? What was the session? It was on Jackson Snyder's website, wasn't it? Tim, how many? YouTube, and it was with what's the guy's name? Robert Villa was teaching, and they're using that as their main thing to learn from. So I'm trying to mention Marissa. I don't know if there's anything that I understand you've got your Divided Day document. Have you got a Divided Day YouTube video as well that we can give them? Is there anything
Actually,
that's
yeah.
really easy to take in? Like I don't want to confuse them and give them lots, but something that would really help. Because I think it is the Job scripture, isn't it, and the Divided Day that's the main difference. So I think that's the main thing they have a problem with.
Yeah, no. So we actually did a few videos, presentations on Jackson Snyder when he was still with us.
Yeah, I went to them with you.
Yeah, but those
yeah.
are kind of the outdated method. The only thing that's changed is how we start the year now, because Marissa had found some really profound information about the moon, and it lines up with what Enoch says and everything. So
was that since Jackson Snyder's Zooms we went on? That was after that, was it? So I went on those, but I think that was the last time I went on them.
Yeah, no. There's an updated one with actually more information in there. Here, let me.
Okay.
Here's the whole playlist, but here, I'll link the whole playlist in the chat right now, and then.
Okay.
Probably the best video for the Divider Day will be this one here in the north. So the calendar in the north, which I'll link as well. But this will give this is going to walk through scriptures on the importance of the north, and it will follow exactly what Enoch says, where in 72 it speaks about, the sun, it sets in the west, and then it goes through the north to reach the east. And also in, where is it? I think 76, it speaks about the north. It has the 3 parts. And that's also where the years, it speaks about the years end there. The seasons, all of these things, they end there in the north. So,
okay. So that's
and it's really profound.
Yeah. Does it change anywhere? Like, the moving, they call it the moving Sabbath, that it's always a different day of the year. Does it change that?
This year it did not, no. So it's still the same day this year. And that's another thing Sister Marissa had found as well about the equinox. And she's discovered that, so for example, like there in the UK, it's probably later in the evening, so your day would be just ending.
Yeah.
Whereas here in the US, it's like, so it's the afternoon for us here in the US. But Australia over there, it's their day has just started. So if you think about it, we're all observing that same Shabbat day today at this very moment, all across the earth. And that's why we see a variant with the readings for the equinox. It'll be different days, in different countries and things like that. And that's the exact reason why. She also goes over how the leap year it's not lined up with the Gregorian leap year. And she actually goes into a lot of detail about that. And what video was that? I think it was so we all observed the same Shabbat Yom, the same Shabbat day.
Yeah. Okay. So we all do, but it's just obviously our day might be in a different place when we're relating to each other. We might be on a different place in the firmament, if you get what I mean. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've got a problem. Tim's trying to get a job. So it's like, I know it's best to be self-employed, but, you know, he's trying to get an employer and then needs to know which day the Sabbath is on. But, I mean, he's just going to have to try and have flexi time or something.
Yeah.
So
That
you're saying this year, as in next year, as in we haven't gone into next year yet. Yeah. So it would be on. It would be in March, like 20th of March onwards. Like, so would that still be on a Monday, or like a Monday?
it'll actually be on a Tuesday because
Tuesday.
this year is actually the leap year coming up.
Okay, right. I completely don't understand. We run away screaming
No,
about my head in the book somewhere.
no worries. It can be quite confusing just trying to explain it with words, but Marissa has the visuals and everything going through it, which really helps a lot.
It's just that we haven't got the fuel, we haven't got the knowledge or the fuel to be able to understand, like, explain it to this group that we're with. And they're going to start doing a study, looks like next Shabbat, and they're going to start sort of ganging up on us with their teaching. And we kind of need to have something to say back, and we don't understand. All we understand is that very basic, which was the old format, and now it's all changed. Oh.
Well, unfortunately, we know here we have a full experience with Robert Villa. He's not the nicest at times. Let's just say that, especially if you do not agree.
Yeah. So they said on our group actually that they were thinking of one of the guys on our group. He's the one that understands it the most. He was thinking of trying to get Robert Villa onto our Zoom to explain it. Well, obviously there's a time difference, so it'll be in the daytime. But there's only like 4 or 5 or 6 of us, so I don't know how that's going to work. But maybe it'd be good if one of you, but people on this group, if one of you is able to come and explain it to them instead, or from our side. But
yeah, we can try and work something out.
Maybe they could come when you do a call, the calendar call.
Yeah, that's what I was suggesting. Like, it'd be better if they came on to somebody else's Zoom or something. The time difference is they do their fellowship from 1:30 afternoon, so that'll be like in the morning. Is it 10 a.m.? 8 a.m. Yeah, 8 a.m. in like Eastern or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. But it's our only, apart from meeting with Libby, who's not very techie, so she doesn't go on Zoom. We don't have anybody else in the UK to meet with. So we really want to get them sort of to understand this. Otherwise, it's just going to be like kind of, they're constantly making little jibes, aren't they, in the conversation? They're constantly dropping things in to try and, make. Well, the wife, the guy who leads the group, his wife is the one that understands it a lot more, calendar, and she didn't agree with she sort of took the mickey out of the Job scripture where that one day divide the day. She said, how can a scripture from Job be anything? And then the Robert Villa message, which I haven't actually listened to, but the other guy who understands it more, he was saying it's all lots of conversation all about the priestly courses and everything, making it sound quite out of depth and making it sound very intense and hard to understand.
No, yeah.
But I'm sure it's a lot easier to understand than that.
No, we've definitely gone back and forth with Robert Villa, especially about the priestly courses, and we've proven through scriptures that the priestly courses are not determined by the moon. And actually, Sister Marissa goes over them in the Fabric of Creation one.
Right.
We cover all that information in these different videos. And in the playlist I shared, it's actually just the presentations themselves. So it's not like a 4-hour video that you have to watch with all the fellowship in it. So it's just the
Oh,
presentation sections.
is that on YouTube? Or is it on the
Yeah, I
group?
shared the links there in the chat here.
Okay. All right. Well, the best I could do is just share them with people, like the group, and see if they'll. I don't want them to sort of come firing back at me like, come on then, you can explain it, because I won't be able to explain it.
Yeah. No, I know how it can be, especially under that kind of pressure that, Robert Villa tries to put out there.
We're still in a situation where we can't, in our house, we can't really study, because our daughter's still homeless and taking up our whole lounge area, so we haven't got anywhere to study, so yeah, that's why we haven't been on here. So we're not really been able to catch up at all. Okay, thank you for sharing them. I'll have a look. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no, thank you, sister. We actually missed you here. And I know Libby popped in. It was like a week or two ago. She popped in and said hi and Shabbat Shalom. But we didn't have much of a chance to talk. But yeah, no, we've missed you all very much here, actually. And Libby is always more than welcome. She's like our elder.
Yeah. Does Ken still come on?
Yeah, Ken still comes on. I'm actually surprised that he didn't make it here today. But usually he's on for everyone.
Okay. Yeah, we've had a bit of a sort of a hard year, completely knocked us sort of out of our normal system. So we might pop in again next week.
Yeah, no, it's been a pretty rough year for many of us, actually. But it's those trials by fire that just refine us like gold in the furnace. Oh, interesting, Natalie. Is that are you able to explain that a little bit? If you want.
So for that one verse, I looked it up, and it does have the Sod or Zod, and then the Yod, then the U, then the Noon. So it is Zion as we think of Mount Zion. So I don't know what to think about that.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder, was Abraham in the midst of the earth or something? Interesting. Because it says he was in the promised land, before it was given to them. The rest of the children when they came out of Egypt.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, does the land really look different? Like post-millennial? I don't know.
Yeah, we do see mountains get moved from their places. I wonder.
Yeah, it says mountains and islands.
Yeah, mountains and islands, correct. Very
Seems
interesting.
plausible.
Yeah. Oh, so it's pretty late for you in the evening there in London then, huh? So yeah, that's pretty much how we observe that same Shabbat day all across the earth too. Jermaine it's still morning for her there in Australia. Here in the U.S., it's the afternoon, and then over there in the UK, it's pretty late in the evening.
Okay, so Tim, you're John, say something. Okay, Tim's just saying to me that you're very, very calm. You guys, whole of you are all very calm. This fellowship is so calm and non-controversial. Even though things are controversial, it's non-controversial. It's like dropping it into something that dissolves all controversies or disappears. It just becomes something that's always got an answer for, But yeah, it'll be brilliant if these guys could jump on somewhere and like listen to something and just answer their questions, because I'm sure that if they ask the questions, one of the questions was what that question he said to me. He said that the Wednesday the Wednesday, the days have been changed, but pagan names and everything, but to his understanding, they still remain the same. The actual Wednesday, the actual Yom day, is still a Wednesday. It still remains the same. So their understanding hasn't moved at all. And could I show evidence to say that there's historical evidence or something or other that that's changed?
Actually, in that same playlist, I go over that and how so the Pharisees and Rome at that same time both observed a very similar floating weekly calendar, a quasi-week calendar determined off a sliver of a moon. The reason for that is because they both got their calendars, or they both were influenced by the Seleucid Empire. The Greeks, these aka Seleucid Empire, and the Synagogue of Hasatan, they've been working together since then. And then Rome got all of their stuff from the Greeks. That's how their calendar was passed on to Rome at that time. And so they had a 7-day week, but it was based off a sliver moon. This is why the Pharisees' calendar and Rome's calendar slightly lined up. And why in Dio Cassius's account and Josephus's account, one calls it Saturn's day, the other calls it the Shabbat day. And it happened on the same day because they're observing the same floating lunar calendar. And also, that week in Rome, it started with Saturday. So the weeks based off of these pagan, mighty one names. I don't even want to call them lowercase Elohim because they're not. They're just these pagan mighty ones. Those were influenced by these deities of Rome. And anyways, the standard modern 7-day week that we have today, it wasn't formed until Constantine in the year 321 AD. So all the calendars before then had some kind of floating lunar quasi-week calendar, except for the sons of Zadok. They kept the proper calendar as determined by the equinox. And, what I was also going to say, so Jubilees chapter 6, it explains in there that how there's only 52 weeks each year, every single year, from year to year, and the years after that. Nowhere in Jubilees does it say that there's a 53rd week of days added in there. Nowhere in Enoch does it speak about some extra week of days. And it's because that doesn't happen. What we physically experience is 365 days each year, plus a little tiny bit extra, but that's how we get the leap year as well. So if you only did 364 days only, the whole 52 weeks, your head of the year would flow backwards until you're eventually observing, first fruits of barley and first fruits of wheat in the winter. And you couldn't do that because they're not a winter crop. And the Sons of Analemma also proves the same thing. You know, it takes 365.24 whatever for the Analemma to be complete. And so we experience these days, but we're told 364 days only. And why? Because we physically experience 365 and we start the counting at 0, just like we're all taught in school when we're children. You know, we learn to start counting at 0. That's a lot of the things that, you know, people have forgotten. And, you know, Yahuah never said, you know, when you see the sign, aka the equinox, and he never once said, you know, wait until Wednesday comes around and then go ahead and start it. No, he gives a sign and then it starts, like a highway sign. You know, when you're coming up to your exit, you got the exit sign right there, so you know, hey, my exit's right here. That's exactly what the equinox is. And it doesn't say your exit next, and then, you know, oh, wait until the next Wednesday comes around, then get off. No, not at all.
Yeah, actually, somebody on the group, because we said we're talking about calendar soon. Somebody on this group, not this group, sorry, the Shabbat group that we're on, with a few people. The lady, the wife of the guy whose house it's at, she said, "Oh, so what day is the head of the year? Can I just find out?" Because I think she's trying to work it out. What everything, you know, where the feast fall and everything. And they said, "Oh, I'm not sure at the moment." They can't even, like, you know, determine what day is what, because they got to work out does it go forward or does it go backwards? You know, that's so ridiculous. And I just wanted to, I was going to just say, oh, that is easy. It's just like, you just start on the 20th of March. But like, I can't just say that because it's going to have a backup with something else. So that's what I'm doing. I'm in the process of typing out basics kind of thing. That's why I was asking you, is everything, you know, the same? So Tim was it just explained to me about the divider day thing. I think you got it right then, Timothy. What you explained to me, what you just explained to me about the divider day, about the different. But so okay, do you want to ask him if it's the same? Because what can I say on the chat? I've got to say something on the chat though, on the group, yeah. Okay. Do you want to ask him? So what can I say then? So go on, ask him, because I don't know.
We welcome questions here. No worries. Don't be shy.
I'm going to jump in here for just a second too and just encourage you, Claire, that you don't need to convince someone else of the calendar. The Ruach's going to do that. So it might take them a while to digest the information, but just present it in truth. And, you know, Jubilees 2 tells us that the sun sets the Shabbat. So if Shabbat's the same every year, then why does Jubilees tell us that? And why does he have the sun as 365.25? There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Tim's got his microphone now.
Hello. Is that right now? Yeah. My question is how does if you've got your day 0 at the equinox, how does that work with creation week? Does that mean there's a gap?
So it's like Sister Marissa said, the creation week, yes, it was like that in the beginning, but he created the sun, moon, and the stars to keep track of these things. So it's the mile marker or the here's your exit sign, and then that next day will be the head of the month. Like, and we see that kind of in 1 Samuel as well, you know, where David and Jonathan are speaking, and he says, "See, tomorrow is the head of the month." Saying "see," could it be like later in shadow, and you're saying, look, tomorrow's ahead of the moon.
Just moved away from the mic or something.
So like Creation Week, yes, it was like that in the beginning because there was that Shozak, that darkness before day one. But that got moved with the sun, moon, and the stars, even though it's not a day of darkness or anything like that, because we have the sun, moon, and the stars. But that's where it's placed now because it's the sun, moon, and stars that mark these things. And we see that it's actually involved with the importance of the north as well. The sun going through the north to reach the east there. And it shines in that portal in the face of heaven, right there in the north.
The most basic way to explain it is you count 0 to 364. So you're not stopping after that 50-second Shabbat to add in any divider days. The divider day is after day 364. You have to count 1 to 364. It doesn't break. And we found in the Dead Sea Scrolls as well that it confirms that 12th month is counted 1 through 31. We don't make any breaks in the months or the years.
Yeah, I think he understands that. We understand that bit. It's a bit, well, we wasn't sure whether day one, which is the fourth day of
Basically,
day one, we don't know if day one was 0 or 1. Can you ask? Stop being shy. Come on. Who's got the question? He doesn't know what his question is. He still doesn't understand how it's changed. So he did a minute ago. He was better than me. He understands more of it, but he's Come on.
Yeah, I understand it goes. So when you get to that 50-second Sabbath, it's now the beginning of Creation Week. So it goes 1, 2, 3. Well, what you're saying is now as day 0, and then it goes day 4.
Yeah, correct. So basically, to try to explain it better, I wish I had Maritza's graphic, the little spiral one. But so creation, the beginning of creation is the starting point. And then those 3 days, there was no luminaries or anything. Then he made the luminaries to mark that. So Creation Week will be the starting point, but then when it comes and circles back right there in between days 3 and 4 will be where the 2 points, like the spirals meet. I don't know. Do you happen to have that graphic, Natalie? The spiral one, Sister Marissa, maybe? She's not here today, otherwise I'd ask her.
Sorry, I was searching for it, so I couldn't respond. I just posted it in the chat.
Yeah, that one. Perfect. So, right there, that little golden dot, that would be basically Creation Week, how it is. Then when it comes and spirals back around, that's in between days 3 and 4 because it's the sun. Oh, you saw that?
Video. I just scrolled through some videos and I looked at Marissa's videos and I found that one that had that on it. So is that the most recent one that she's done that has got that on it? On the YouTube video? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe she did it in a couple different ones, but yeah, that's exactly that's it right there.
Right.
Yeah, she walks through it.
Well, anyway, anything that knocks them off of a Wednesday, it doesn't really matter whether they come to 0 or 1. Whichever one you're doing, it doesn't really matter as long as it knocks them away from the Wednesday thing. That's the main thing. Because that's where we came here from. We came here from, not realising that Wednesday was like Gregorian and pagan and whatever. So that's the thing that booted us off believing that. So main thing really. Okay. So do you understand? We'll have a look at that video. Yeah. Rather than watch Robert Villiers' video, don't watch what the enemy's trying to get you to believe. Watch what you've got to teach them about the truth.
Robert Villain. That's what we call him too.
Yeah. Yeah, he was watching Robert Villiers' video so that he can then argue back. But you better watch this one. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. And all praise to the Most High Yahuah. And it's like Sister Natalie was saying, pretty sound advice there. We're not trying to force any views or opinions on anybody. We're just trying to lay out the information we found and walk it through scriptures and say, look, this is what scripture says. You can claim Wednesday all you like, but Wednesday does not exist in scriptures. Saturday doesn't exist in scriptures. What does? The luminaries. And it says the luminaries are to determine the days, months, seasons, weeks, years, all these things. And the leader of them is the sun. And that great sign of the sun, that's what we go by.
I was
And
going to say,
actually,
it's like,
oh, go
you
ahead,
know,
go ahead.
oh, sorry. No, I was just going to say, like, if you, in our days, if we sort of got knocked out and went in a coma and woke up again, you'd be looking for a newspaper, or be looking for like other shops shut. You'd be looking for things to show what day of the week it is. But you can't be doing that out in nature. You have to look up at the sky and see. Yeah, there's nothing you can't see in nature. Nature carries on the same every single day. Yeah, so it's common sense, really, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
because
carry on with
actually,
the saying. I just saw that.
no, that was a really good point. Because yeah, if let's say you're just stuck on a desert island, you know, you lose track of the days and things like that. You don't know what time of year it is, what day it is, but you can determine it by that straight line shadow with just a stick and some rocks. That's really how simple it is. That's how Yahuah works. And his nature is cyclical, just like that. And we went over a couple weeks ago, actually, it's the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio, it's called as well, which is literally the fingerprint of Yahuah and everything. And it connects directly to the calendar as well. The same cyclical motion, cycles, everything. And
Is it all recorded? Is that all recorded in previous? Like you've been carrying on with these recordings the whole time?
oh yeah. All of them are recorded, yes.
I remember at the
Actually,
beginning they were like 9 hours long. Are they
yeah,
still 9 hours?
sometimes we try to keep it around 4 hours, but if it goes longer,
Oh,
it's all
God.
good. No worries.
Right.
But yeah, no, we even had that like 14-hour one.
Yeah.
Let me
Oh,
let
wow.
me get the video and let's see. Where is it? Which one was it? I think it was this one. I just got to make sure because I have it in the title. I just didn't put it in the thumbnail. Or YouTube. So yeah, this is it. Here, let me share this for you. Sorry, my phone is lagging really bad right now. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get this link and it's not wanting to cooperate. Here we go, finally. So here, this one, and then I have a timestamp. I pinned it in the comments for when we talk about these things, because we go over the Torah portion first. And Shabbat Shalom, Sister Ashley, by the way. Same as
Hello.
hey, Shalom.
I
I
just
just
had a
saw your commentary.
question about what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, for the season of deception and stuff, will there be a millennial reign in the future, or did in Revelation, or did that happen already?
So no, what we're looking forward to is Day of Judgment, the Great White Throne Judgment, the Day of Yahuah, instead of the millennial reign in this little season of deception. So we still have a shot at being the other kingdoms, or sorry, the other nations that make it into the kingdom. because I think a big thing is a lot of people forget that there's more than just New Jerusalem in the Shamayim, and when heaven and earth are remade, there's all the other nations around as well. So not all of us are going to be able to be the kings and priests that make it in the millennial reign. And I think that's part of the
I'm sorry,
deception because
my mom called me. Can you say that again? My mom, just as we were talking, my mom's like, Ashley. I was like, oh.
yeah. No worries. Sorry, can you guys hear me? I see that.
I can hear you, yeah. We can't hear the other person speaking.
Oh, okay. I think it's because I opened up YouTube and it kind of lagged out my phone. So probably stay down there a bit on the connection. But yeah, basically, we make it to the new kingdom as the other nations. And because, people think, the millennial reign, oh, well, what is there after that? There's no hope. Well, there still absolutely is hope, the same hope to make it to that new kingdom. People always talk about how they'll be the janitor in the new kingdom. Well, you can kind of compare the other nations kind of like that. Not in a derogatory way or anything. And yeah, so I saw your question there earlier, Jermaine. You're trying to figure out the picture there. So basically, Marissa probably explained it a lot better than I, but so we see creation week right there at the beginning of that little spiral loop thing. And that is how it worked out right there in the beginning. There was the Chozek, the darkness, the time before time, and then that light started the counting of days. And then we get days 1, 2, and 3, and day 4 is when the luminaries were made to keep track of everything. So that's when that spiral starts. If you can kind of see where the black line starts on day 4 there, then when it loops around, the same point is going to be in between days 3 and 4 again. And then it continues on just like that. And then Sister Esme, you shared something there. What you got there, sister?
Me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hey, Shalom. I can hear you. We hear you
Yeah.
now.
I'm not sure who had that way back a few months ago, Katrina, or I'm not sure, but that I redid it just in color, but that's what actually made all this make sense to me.
I think it's Libby.
Hello.
I'm not sure who it was, but so I posted it because to me, that's what made your whole calendar clear, or Yahweh's calendar clear, I should say.
Yeah. But we see
But
the
isn't this
Jubilee.
different now? This is different now,
Just,
is it?
just
Since
how we begin the year, and that's based off what the sun, moon, and stars are showing us. And so, if you think about it as well, actually, the Jubilee year starts and ends on the 7th month, around I think it's Day of Atonement, is what Scripture says. That's when the Jubilee years start and end. I think Marissa was working on the Jubilee years. But it's basically, it would be the same as that, but the menorah, that straight line, that would just be the separation between days 1 and 3, and then 4, 5, and 6, and then the 7th, because it's Kodesh. That's what is in between the menorahs. It's the Kodesh day. And what you got there, Sumi? Wait, what do you have there, Sumi?
It's just showing. Sorry. Just showing my family lineage. I traced it back to the 1500s. I was just curious how far I could go back because of all of the stuff that got erased, during the after the Millennial Kingdom and everything.
Ah, interesting. Speaking of that, I can only trace mine back to maybe 100 years, if that, from my father's side. And it's because I think I explained this before, my grandfather grew up in Nazi Germany. Then he started working for the computer company IBM, and this is back when IBM was like bigger than Microsoft. And he actually started working programming the satellite trajectories at NASA, things like that. But I can really only trace mine back maybe 100 years or so. But that seems to be about the norm, that most can trace it back about maybe 200, 250 years, whatever. And that's about that range right there. No, thank you. You didn't realize that? I think I don't know when I mentioned it, a couple weeks ago. Yeah, my grandpa even wrote a book, Growing Up in Nazi Germany is the name of it. Yeah, I even shared the link at Calendar Talk. Was important. It still is important, for sure. Oh, you're ready again? Or sorry, not again. You are ready, Sister Jermaine? Well, yeah, if you're ready, Sister Jermaine, we can pause here.
Yeah, it's up to you. I think there's like 10 minutes left until your 4-hour mark. Is that right?
Let's see. 2:49. Yeah, we still got plenty of time. So, yeah, that's wild, Catriona. Your father used to work for IBM too. Anyways, wow.
Yeah, that's really mad. I just heard you say that and was like, what? Yeah, he's a computer security analyst. He's like 84 now. But yeah, he used to work. He was over in the States in the 70s. And was, in all of that, Silicon Valley crowd back in the day.
Yeah, my whole family has been, my dad still works as he's a programmer. And my little brother is a, what do you call it? A networking engineer or something like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, my dad was just like, he was made involuntarily redundant. Basically, like nobody would give him a job because he was overqualified. And like he was too proud to put himself forward for lecturing type stuff. And it's really sad, to be honest. But he's like an adamant humanist, I think, from that generation. Like their intelligence was their God kind of thing. So if you'd keep my dad in Palau, I'd really appreciate that. He's very hard-hearted. He thinks kind of how I did. He thinks that the Bible is religion, is religion. Do you know what I mean? Like, knows all about the dark side of that and thinks it's all the same.
Unfortunately, that's a lot of my family think that same way. They think it's all religion and things like that. And I have to remind them, no, it's not religion. It's scriptures.
Mm.
I would definitely be in Palau for your father, their sister. It's tough when it's family, for sure.
There's so much bondage, and you think about all of the occultic things. Like, I don't even know. There's so much, spiritual, tied to there in the 70s and stuff, and all of that. There's so much of my family history that we don't know about. Yep. Catholic on the Irish side, and then I don't know about the other side. So, yeah. Anyway.
Shalom, Katrina. Say hi to
Hello.
Elkin for me.
Hi, Shalom, Claire. He's upstairs running the bath now. He was like, "Oh, it's Claire."
Yeah. Was that him that said hi earlier? Heard
Yeah,
his
yeah,
little
it was.
voice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was him. Yeah, a little British voice.
Oh, bless you.
Glad to hear
Shabbat
your
Shalom,
voice in here.
everyone. Yeah,
Yeah.
you too.
Shalom.
Oh, I was mispronouncing your name this whole time. I thought it was Catriona. My apologies.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, it's Katrina. You've got to imagine like a Scottish or Irish person saying Katrina, basically. It's like Katrina. But it's cool.
Got
As
it.
long as you don't call me Catriona, I don't care.
That's what I've been calling you. My bad. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, you weren't. It's fine. Like the accents, I can deal with it sounding different, you know.
Now I know. Tuda, thank you.
Oh, hallelujah.
And actually, Sister Jermaine, yeah, are you ready there, sister? Sorry. I knew you were ready, and then we got back into it.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's just there's only sort of 7 minutes left. And there's probably not enough time. Did you want to start again or?
No, we got 4 hours, so we still got another over an hour of recording left.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought the 4 hour came up. Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, we're at
Okay.
3 4, but no worries.
Sorry. That's okay. I messed up. I thought it was coming up to the 4 hour mark. Okay, I'm ready. Yeah, Psalm 25 in the English Lexham Septuagint, but for you guys on a regular Bible, it's Psalm 26. Judge me, O Yahuwah, because I went in my guilelessness, and I shall not be shaken when hoping in Yahuwah. Scrutinize me, O Yahuwah, and test me. Purge my mind and my heart, because your mercy is before my eyes, and I was well pleased with your truth. I did not sit with the assembly of vanity, and I will never enter with those transgressing the law. I hated the assembly of those doing evil, and with the ungodly I will never sit. I will wash my hands with innocent deeds, and I will go around your altar, to hear a voice of praise, and to describe all your marvelous deeds. O Yahuwah, I love the goodly appearance of your house, and the place of the tent of your glory. Do not destroy my soul together with the ungodly, and my life with men of bloodshed, in whose hands is lawlessness. Their right hand is full of bribes. But I went in my guilelessness. Redeem me and have mercy upon me. For my foot stands in uprightness. In the assembly I will bless Yahuwah. No, I will bless you, O Yahuwah. 26, which is your 27, of David before his anointing. Yahuwah is my light and my saviour. Whom shall I fear? Yahuwah is the protector of my life. From whom shall I fear? When evildoers came up to me to eat my flesh, the ones afflicting me and my enemies, they were weak and fell. If an army is set up against me, my heart will not fear. If a battle rises up against me, in this circumstance I hope in Aliyam. One thing I asked from Yahuwah, this I will seek out, that I dwell in the house of Yahuwah all the days of my life, that I behold the pleasantness of Yahuwah and visit his temple. For he hid me in a tent in the day of my evils. He sheltered me in the concealment of his tent. On a rock he lifted me. And now look, he lifted my head over my enemies. I came around and sacrificed in his tent a sacrifice of shouting. I will sing psalms to Yahuwah. Give ear, O Yahuwah, to my voice with which I cried out. Have mercy upon me and give ear to me. My heart said to you, I sought out your face. Your face, O Yahuwah, I will seek. Do not turn back your face from me. Do not turn around in wrath from your servant. Become my help. Do not abandon me. Do not disregard me, O Yahuwah, my Saviour, for my father and my mother abandoned me, but Yahuwah received me. Instruct me, O Yahuwah, with respect to your way, and lead me in a straight path on account of my enemies. Do not give me over to the souls of those afflicting me, because unrighteous witnesses rose up against me, and the injustice lied with itself. I will trust. I will see the good things of Yahuwah in the land of the living. Wait upon Yahuwah. Be brave, and let your heart be strengthened, and wait upon Yahuwah. That's the end of that one.
I love it. It just shows the importance of, it's a matter of the heart. Are we giving these things to Yahuwah when we're going through the struggles and trials and tribulations? Is it on our heart to follow what is on his heart?
Yeah. Yeah, and he is our help all the time. He is our help.
He really is.
I cannot imagine living in this world without a belief in Yahuwah. Like, I'd be super like, what does even any of this mean? Like, yeah, be very depressing in a world that we live.
Really, truly. Honestly, that's the exact way I felt before Yahuwah opened my eyes. I felt that exact way. Like, what is even the point of any of this?
Who am I?
Yeah, like, where am I? Like, are we really meant to be, ruled by these disgusting type of people that do these disgusting acts? Like, no, that's not what we're here for at all. So finding Yahuwah, it gives you a sense of purpose and meaning as well. So yeah, without him, we would all be lost. And I believe it's even a miracle that he chose us and we were able to wake up from this deception that we were all raised in.
Yeah.
Baraki for it, truly.
Yes. So I'll just go on and read Wisdom of Sirach, chapter 2. Child, if you come to serve Yahuwah Aliyam, prepare your soul for temptation. Make your heart right and be steadfast, and do not hurry in the time of distress. Be joined to him and do not turn away, so that you might be honored at your end. Accept everything that would be brought upon you, and when you are changed into a state of humiliation, be patient. Wow. Because gold is tested in the fire, and acceptable people in the furnace of humiliation. Trust in him, and he will support you. Make your way straight and hope in him. Wow, I think we just read that in Psalms. You who fear Yahuwah, wait for his mercy, and do not turn aside lest you fall. You who fear Yahuwah, trust in him, and your reward will never fail. You who fear Yahuwah, hope for good things, and for merriment of eternity and mercy. Look at the ancient generations and see who trusted Yahuwah and was put to shame. Or who abided in his fear and was forsaken? Or who called upon him and was disregarded him, and he disregarded him? For Yahuwah is compassionate and merciful, and he forgives sins and saves in time of affliction. Woe to the cowardly hearts and the neglectful hands, and to the sinner who walks along two paths. Woe to the faint heart, because it does not trust. Because of this, it will not be sheltered. Woe to you who have lost patience. And what will you do when Yahuwah examines you? Those who fear Yahuwah will not resist his words, and those who love him will observe his ways. Those who fear Yahuwah will seek his approval, and those who love him will be filled with the law. Those who fear Yahuwah will prepare their hearts and will humble their souls before him. We will fall into the hands of Yahuwah and not into the hands of humans. For as is his majesty, so also is his mercy. That's it.
Beautiful. Kudos, sister. Thank you.
Oh, good. No worries.
I love how it lines. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. You say something. You say what you were going to say.
Oh, I was just gonna say I love how it lines up with Proverbs or Mishlei, like right with it. It's awesome.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was just going to say, the other day you guys said, "Can you say g'day, mate?" And there's a few different ways to say it. I guess it depends on the expression of what you know. Yeah, but yeah, g'day. G'day. You can say g'day. G'day, mate. That's overexpressing.
Oh,
G'day, mate.
It's weird how it's a G though, hey, like G Day.
We say hello, mate. You're right, mate. So we say over here.
Oh, so you still say mate as well. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Or we say you're right, love.
You're right, love. Yeah.
Yeah. But it can come
G'day.
across as a rude love. You know, you can say love and it actually means being rude to somebody as well. So you can take it in two ways.
Oh. Okay.
That sounds like the Southern bless your heart.
You're like
yeah,
a bit of a patronising way of saying it as well. But you can say it in the same way, but just in different words in the sentence or something. I don't know. Yes.
Very
Oh, bless your heart is good. That's lovely.
Not
That's not how the Southerners mean it.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh. Well, when you really break it down, it actually is lovely, isn't it? Bless your heart. Like, you know,
Yeah,
Baruch your heart.
exactly. No, that's how it is for the rest of the U.S., just not the South.
Okay. What is good is evil and evil is good there then, right?
Yeah, right. That's where Southern Baptists come from and things like that. Yeah.
So is it meant like a sarcasm?
Us here in London, we're going to check out because we're going to have a look at what you've sent us, all the links, and then we're going to go home because we're out at where is this? What's the name? Katrina would know. We're Weatherspoon's pub, but we're just sitting there using a massive table to spread all our rubbish out, books and Bibles and everything, and paper. So we've got to go home. But thank you everyone for giving us a whole load of ideas, and we'll get back to you soon. We'll be back here soon. Okay, shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Ellis family.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom. Speak to you
And it's
soon.
good to have you back, by the way, as well.
Shabbat
But
shalom.
yeah, Shabbat shalom. Thank you for joining. So yeah, I think we will do a little calendar recap next Shabbat because I know a lot of people have a lot of questions about it still. And we used to cover it every single Shabbat, and it's been quite a while since we've covered it. So I think it's important enough to, recap. And we do have quite a few new people who are interested in the calendar, or haven't been here for the past couple months since Marissa made the discovery about the witnesses of the moon and the stars and all these things that align. Yeah, better make sure Marissa is around next Shabbat. Yeah. See, I can explain everything very well about the whole rest of the calendar, but she's got the moon witnesses down. Like, I'm sure I can explain it, but it's not going to be as good as how he explains it. Yeah, exactly. It's helpful to have others for what we miss. And yeah, and I think it'd be good because, that the head of the year is coming up soon in March as well. So it's good to have the understanding of the calendar. And really, I know there was who was the one that mentioned it? They didn't realize that just a few months ago, it was about 4 months ago now, Marissa found these witnesses in the moon. So we were doing it with the whole, we can't break up creation week kind of deal. But then once you realize that Yahuah is cyclical just like that, works in these cycles, these patterns, not only that, but these lunar stations, they don't line up properly if you break up. Like if you hold creation week as it is, the luminaries get slightly off. And like what Natalie was saying, we don't see the breakup between, what is it, the 29th, 30, and the 31st day, or 28th, 29th, 30, and I can't speak. Those days of the month, those last days of the 12th month, they're not broken up at all throughout the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah, because before, I think creation week, you counted like 27, 28, and then you broke it up and then did 29, 30, 31 maybe.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
I think the biggest difference, and I don't think that you guys changed it before I came back in, but is that the equinox is the divider day, not the day that you start. So you start the day after the equinox, in case people haven't been here.
Yeah, so the equinox is like the here's your
0
exit
day.
day. Yeah. The 0 day. Then that next day, boom. That's the head of the months. And I actually like using the 1 Samuel where David and Jonathan are speaking, because it literally says in there, see, tomorrow's the head of the month. Well, see what? That straight line shadow. That's what I think. That's what I believe, 100%, honestly.
Well, it makes no sense to have the straight line shadow day the first day of the month, because you're still trying to figure out, is it the straight line? You need the whole day to see that, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's true. So they'd be tracking it all day while trying to.
Also, I think.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Also, I think an important thing to cover if you're going to review calendar, and I think I don't know who was just on here. It was the lady from London that just got off. I think the part that's the most confusing for many people who have done the Wednesday, I've done the Wednesday for about 8 years with the, with the Zadok calendar people. And then I went to, I think it should change every year, and I've done that for this will be my 5th year coming up. But the part that I think is important, that I think Marissa and all of you all, whoever studied it out, got exactly right is that Yahuah is the ending and the beginning, and he's that day in between. And the part that confused me, I've only done the 1 year, like Aaron's calendar for 1 year, where she had the 364 not in a row. And I 100% think it's important that we have 364 days in a row. And then to know where that 0 day comes in after the fact. Because that was the part that I kept saying all along, like, okay, this just isn't right. You can't put the divider days and then finish out the month. It's just not right. I didn't know how to do it, but I knew it wasn't right. and then so to make, when you talk about it being Yahusha being the beginning and the end, or Yahuah being the beginning and the end, that makes sense. That's where that 0 day, and even with the creation, he was the beginning and the end, and he created all things.
Yeah, exactly. When you look at it, it actually ends up looking just like the Fibonacci sequence that we covered. That whole spiral thing going on. That's exactly how the calendar works.
I think Marissa used the term the fingerprint of Yah.
Yeah, that's it. The fingerprint of Yah. Fingerprint of Yahuah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's in everything, from pine cones to shells of the sea, shells on snails, leaves, fruits, literally in everything. It's there in everything. It's like his signature, his fingerprint it's exactly what it is. And then the whole climatics, it connects right back to the word of Yahuah, which is life. He speaks and it comes into existence. Yeah, first and last in Isaiah. Yeah, boom. Good catch there, Sister Natalie. It uses a rosh or rash for head, beginning. Yep. And it's interesting. It's not Aleph in the top. It's rosh. I've actually heard that very recently somewhere. I don't remember where I heard that. Maybe it was you? Oh, so it was you, yes.
Yeah, so when I was doing those graphics for Marissa, and it does say he's the Aleph and the Tav, or the Aleph and the Two, the Alpha and Omega. So it does use that terminology in Revelation, but it also uses the first and the last and the beginning and the end. So there's 3 different analogies that it gives. I can't remember. I think it was like Revelation 22 maybe. So there was different instances, but that went back to Isaiah, and we all know Isaiah is where it talks about him and all the divinity stuff. So it's like he is literally the head of months, the head of years, the head of days. So I thought it was a really cool find. It doesn't negate the other one, but
Yeah, no, that it's really profound, actually. Pretty deep. Connects it right with Rosh at the beginning. Yeah, so if you guys are confused on any part of the calendar, or if there's something specific that you would like to be covered, let us know. And I will try to get it covered for our next Shabbat meeting. And I
So
will.
were we going to go a little bit over Marissa's presentation on the North, the calendar and all that, or are we just going to discuss it, or?
I was still deciding about that, whether just to play like one of her videos.
Yeah, because it's so thorough.
It really is. That's why I was having a hard time wondering what to cover, because we've pretty much covered all aspects of it. So it would really be just a review.
Right.
Especially since we're about to come up on the new year.
Oh, for sure.
And this, we're still in, I feel like, trial and error. I feel like we're very close. So, hopefully just confirmation of what we feel like we understand.
Yeah, good idea.
We'll be able to put it to the test.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Lachlan, a presentation on how to track the straight line shadow. I think that would be a good idea actually as well.
Yes, because I still don't know quite how to do it.
It's not as hard as it may seem. It's actually quite simple. But yeah, no, we'll definitely have to do something like that. I was actually planning on, well, we're going to be there at Marissa's at that time, but maybe I could set something up real quick in my yard or thing just to demonstrate like how to do it. Yeah, getting sunlight is the hard part. Yeah, you have to make sure there's no big trees around you in close proximity. No
I was
mountains
just
or
going to
hills.
say to Lachlan, since you're in Australia and Queensland, and it's probably also your wet season, generally on the day of the equinox, we always get clouds and rain. We never get a full day of sun. But yeah, I don't know how Brisbane is for you that time of the year, but for us, it's just like never going right.
Yeah, I was just keen at seeing, like, I've watched some videos, but it's still a little bit unclear for me how to track it. Like, but yeah, I was just thinking if the internet went down, like, yeah, I've got some videos and stuff saved, but yeah, it'd be nice to have a more in-depth knowledge of.
Yeah.
And we do point it toward the true north, correct?
Yeah, correct. Exactly at Polaris, because that
Which
would be true.
we
Yep,
didn't
that's
do
what I
that
thought.
last year, right? We did
No,
it.
I was pointing it toward the east. I was getting all mixed up.
And like, we can't even see Polaris where I am.
Yeah, but the compasses should point due north though, even on Australia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you got a compass, you should be able to get it. But yeah, here in the northern hemisphere, just line it up with Polaris, and that if you don't have a compass, I mean, you could use a compass either way, but that's the most accurate way is to line it up with Polaris. Well, cool setup actually, Natalie. And so if you have like a Qumran sundial or some kind of what is it called? Man, I always forget the name of it. That's set up with the two strings and things like that, or even just a nail on the board, you have to line it up with Polaris. But if you just have rocks and sticks or a nail and a board, it's still good to have a compass, so you have it if you're going to move it or take it down, you can get it set up in the same exact position. But it's not necessary if you're just going to use sticks and a rock or a nail and markers. Yeah, armillary. Yes, that's it. Thank you. Oh, yours is concreted in. That's a good idea. It'd probably be best to concrete it in after it's lined up, but yeah.
Yeah, you got to make sure that it's level, like everywhere. But for the pointing to Polaris, it's kind of hard. But maybe someone else won't have as much trouble as we've had the last 2 years. But we found the board method to be very, very, very good if you follow the pointers that, is it Faithchild gives? Yeah, Faithchild.
Yeah.
You got to have a sharp tipped gnomon, no dull tipped gnomon. That's the pointer. And then you definitely need to be tracking early hours in the morning, couple in the afternoon, and then you need the late hours of the afternoon. I think he was throwing out any data at the end that was like maybe not 11 hours, 10 to 11 hours. So it was crazy the amount. We found that it moves like about a 16th of an inch every day towards the end, which was really crazy how precise that it was. So it's really fun to track.
Yeah, it is pretty fun. Yeah, that is an important part. You got to get that early morning to the late evening readings. Sometimes, people they'll only have like an 8 or less hour reading, and that's not going to be as accurate. But yeah, that I remember Faith Child, he wasn't taking anything under like a certain time, like you were saying. But yeah, so basically you just make sure you have a spot where you can get the morning to the evening sunlight. You can mark it every like 15 to 30 minutes or however you feel, but it's good to have a set time to mark it. And then make sure you use kind of like a string or some kind of laser level, because if you have a ruler that's not going to make it the whole distance, you're not going to get very accurate readings. I remember, isn't that you were saying that, right, Sister Natalie? That's what Aaron and them were doing. They were having it was like a shorter measuring stick, but they'd slightly move their dots to get it a straight line.
Oh, yeah. So you could tell when you went into not only their videos, and Faithchild called him out on it, and I've private messaged him a bit about it. But he's had to ask them to clarify their data for at least 3 years now. And it doesn't match up with any of the US, so that's interesting. But anyway, we found that, especially with the armillary dial, you can actually just move it to calibrate it on the day that you think the equinox is. So they could make the equinox look like any day. But for their tabular dial, the one that is the flat board, they were taking the ruler, and you know how the dots, I mean, you have like a bottom of the dot, a center of the dot, and a top of the dot. Well, they were putting like the far left of the ruler at the bottom of the dot, and then the far right of the ruler, they were putting like at the top of the dot to make it look like it was straight on the day that they wanted it to be straight, which was March 20th in the US, when it was already past. It was March 19th for the equinox in the US this year. So yeah, they moved their ruler to not be accurately the same. You can also make it look off by drawing lines between your dots and pretending that it's straight. So anyway, I can come up with all these things that we've noticed. If it would be helpful to anyone to have some tips, I can write them out.
I think that would be helpful actually, because then we would know what to avoid, so we don't make those same mistakes. Yeah, tip would be great. Yeah, 2 witnesses right there. And Esme, which has Natalie's presentation, oh, are you meaning the slides that she made?
No, she wrote under that she meant Marissa's presentation.
Oh, my
There, I
bad.
can share the calendar thing.
Oh yeah, she did say that. Sorry, my apologies. The fabric of creation. Yeah, that was it, right?
I copied the message and said this, Esme. It shared Marissa's fabric of creation.
Yeah, yeah. Boom, thank you. That was Miranda's PDFs? Was it? I thought it was Fabric of Creation. Could have swore it was.
I shared Marissa's Fabric of Creation. I didn't. My
Oh,
PDF
okay.
was shared last weekend.
Fellowship starts at
Oh, the PDF form, not the video form. I don't know where the PDF form is. It might be in one of the tabs. I could see.
yeah. So Marissa will have her PDFs. She has a special tab. It'll say Marissa's PDFs, and then if you want Miranda's PDF, those are in the Little Season tab. Oh, there's another one Lockman sharing. Awesome, thank you. And fellowship. So I started at noon here, Arizona time. So depending where you're at. So now, so it'd be 2 o'clock Eastern. But when, daylight savings hits and all that, it'll be 3 o'clock Eastern. Because we don't have daylight savings here in Arizona. But yeah, right now it's 2 o'clock Eastern. And there's always going to be a notification, like the little notification button there at the top right corner. Because I try to get them scheduled like at least a day in advance.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
I guess Esme was wanting the Yucad Fellowship. What number presentation was Marissa going over the Fabric of Creation, like on video? Do you know what fellowship that was?
Hold on, I can check.
Okay, because I think that's what Cheyenne was saying Esme wanted.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
She said your name, so I was like,
Yeah.
So let's see.
So just like what fellowship number Marissa went over that with, so we can share it with her.
Yeah, it was 57. Here, I'll share the video here.
Oh, I think Cheyenne beat you to it.
Oh, well.
She put it in the chat.
On top of it. There you go. Thank you, Sister Cheyenne. Yeah, that's a good idea, Sister Jermaine. Vote Lock goes over one of his write-ups every week. If he wants to. I'm down for that.
Yeah, I'd be keen. My Babylon series, I like made a video on, but like I've been editing it, and like it's just so tedious editing. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff I want to get out there. Hey, like with so much tyranny around and stuff, like everyone really needs to know actual like common law, and I don't know. I feel like stepping out of Babylon, like especially, like with contracting and stuff, we need to be mindful of what's coming and stuff as well. It's going to be like handy, I think, to have a knowledge of. But I could do one.
That's why I think you should like go over it in voice, like read it out and just spend a bit of time, expounding on some stuff so everyone can just talk and ask questions. I mean, it doesn't have to be long, but
Yeah.
just talk about it. Just read out what you've written, and everyone can just talk about it. Because sometimes people don't make the time to just stop and read those things. It's good to it's easier as a conversation. That means it actually gets done.
Yeah. The big post, we talking.
Yeah, no, I like that idea. It's a good idea. And yeah, getting out of Babylon, that's actually the first step in the calendar too, because, I know a lot of us here we have these jobs that, are they really going to allow you to, change your day off every single year? Well, that's something that should be taken to Yahuah, and, Yahuah will always provide a way, 100%. If you truly seek him, he will provide a way. Because we got to remember, too, there's lunar Sabbatarians. They're asking to change their Shabbat every single month. So, I mean, if they can find a way to do it, I'm sure Yahuah will provide a way for us as well. But, like in my case,
Do you want me to read that
yeah,
one?
actually, I was just looking at that. Yeah. Yeah, if you want to, go right ahead, brother. I'd enjoy it.
The Beast System Blueprint Part 1. The Pattern of Control. From Nero to 1666 to now, for thousands of years, the same shadow. A system that survives by turning living men into legal property. Different kingdoms, different empires, same pattern. Rome perfected it, London revived it. Modern governments concealed it in paperwork and called it normal life. This series exists to reveal that pattern from beginning to end, so the remnant names that were placed on them long before they could speak. I'm going to walk you step by step, from beginner to expert, through how the beast system actually works, why scripture warned us, and how we return to being living man and woman under Yahuah instead of commercial entities under Babylon's merchants. Today we start with the pattern itself. 1. Nero's Rome, the first mark system. Under Nero, refusing to bow to emperor meant you were treated as a non-person, dead to the state, outside legal protection, property to be eliminated. Your identity only existed if Rome permitted it. That is the first shadow of the beast. A legal system built on recognition, permission, registration, and allegiance. 2. London 1666, the presumption of death after the Great Fire. London passed a law that changed the entire Western world. The Sesta-Q-V Act of 1666 declared that anyone who could not prove life to the state was legally dead. Once dead in law, the state claimed their property, their rights were absorbed, their identity became controlled. Their legal person could be administered by government officials. This was not about compassion, it was about control, and the same logic was later applied to every child born under the New World Commercial Order. 3. The modern copy, birth certificates and corporate identity. Today, the system is more polished but not different. The birth certificate creates a separate commercial entity, converts you from a living man into a managed franchise, registers you under maritime merchant jurisdiction, allows agencies, courts, and governments to act upon the person, leaves the real you, the living soul, becomes softer, but the spiritual mechanism is exactly the same. Presume you're dead, then own what is dead. This is how the beast exercises authority in the little season through contracts, assumptions, and legal fictions. Why this matters spiritually, Revelation shows a world ruled by merchants, where Babylon controls mankind through sorcery, pharmakia, contracts, and commerce. Isaiah, Jeremiah, and 2nd Esdras, all warn of nations being swallowed by the flood, a picture of maritime jurisdiction overtaking the earth. What started as Nero's mark and resurfaced as London's 1666 decree became the modern identity system that rules most of humanity today. Where this series is going, this is only part 1. Over the next 9 parts, we will uncover how death and law actually works, what the straw man is, how merchants replace scripture with contracts, why governments treat you as cargo, how digital IDs are the final tightening of the net, how to establish yourself as a living man, how to walk in private remedy, how to come out of Babylon without fear, how to free your household from the curse. Yahuah has not called his remnant to be ignorant of the devices of the merchants. He called us to come out from among them. We begin with seeing the pattern. Next, we expose the mechanism. Next, part 2, how they declared you dead in law. That's the first one. I've got all like 10 done already.
Awesome. No, very well done. Thank you. And it's very important to learn and understand that as well. And, yeah, YouTube doesn't seem to mind that being spoken about for some reason. It's only the stuff about the pharmakia. So, but yeah, that should not be any kind of issue on YouTube for me. But yeah, it's very important to know this stuff because, especially with these binding contracts and things like that we can unknowingly make, especially with, the birth certificates, they lead right back to Rome. And that's exactly what it is. Rome is that beast of Revelation. Yeah, thank you for reading, brother. Yeah, we can have little like Lachlan's hour where you can read your write-ups that you do.
Shoot. Yeah, it's just something I've been passionate about lately. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely important information for sure. So yeah, let's see. We got a lot of calendar videos, calendar information. So if you guys have questions or any points or anything that you would like to ask or make about the calendar, feel free to share in the chat here throughout the week. And then I will do my best to be able to address them next Shabbat when we go over and review the calendar. I'll have to make sure that Sister Marissa will be there. Yeah, definitely looking forward to more readings from Lachlan, 100%. Let's see. Just kind of looking through the chat here. Make sure I didn't miss any questions. Sometimes I miss them, especially when I'm doing a live fellowship. It's easy to miss. All right. Let's see. What time do we got here? 3 hours and 40 minutes. Hey, no worries, Andrea. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining. And yeah, I think if there is no more questions or anything else, we'll probably end it for this evening as well. Yeah, we enjoy having you here, truly.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna hop off too. But Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and Jeremy, thank you for going over the Torah portion. As you know, Jubilees is one of my favorite books as well, so it was wonderful to read.
Absolutely. And yeah, you have
Yeah,
a lot of
Shabbat
insight on
Shalom.
Jubilees. So if
Thanks.
you see something in Jubilees, feel free to, toss it in there, sister, 100%. But yeah, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Good to
Shabbat
hear you
shalom,
again.
everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat,
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 Shalom.
Shalom. Love it. Precious. Barak Yahuah.
Baruch Atah Yahuah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Leila Tov.
Shalom.
Laila Tov.
Leila Tov. Or Boker Tov. Wherever you are. But we will see you all next Shabbat. Actually, we're going to do our Thursday night study as well. I got to check the poll for the new book. We weren't able to do it this last weekend because I had truck problems and I was working on my truck at that time. And yes, we don't miss that cuteness at all. Or we do do miss that cuteness. Anyways, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. And we will see you Thursday evenings or next Shabbat.